Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Women's World Cup. We are at the business end of the competition, and it is the semi-final between New Zealand and the Canadians. Now, these two sides have had some pretty close games over the last little while, and I have a feeling this one at the World Cup, looking at the odds and looking at both sides' forms, this one could be no different. You can see it split by less than 7, and the good news is it's less than 10 minutes away. But looking through at the starting lineups, first of all, for New Zealand, they are as follows. They have got Valeko in the front row. She had a couple late injury concerns in the last contest, so it is great to see her still available for this match. New Zealand have been hit with a few other injury troubles, though. Georgia Miller, nowhere to be seen for this matchup. They have instead got Makaeli Tu'u, the co-captain in the number 7 jersey, Tukuafu, and then Olsen Baker. She was one who everyone thought was going to be out for the whole competition with an injury. Early on in the first match, she went down, but she's all right. She got up, and she is ready to go for the semi-finals in the 9 and 10 combination. It will be Poldy Lane alongside Demant, such an important duo for this New Zealand side. They have got pace on the outside, the experience of Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe, and then also Braxton Sorensen-McGee currently leads the competition with tries scored with 8, although someone who is hot on her heels is the Canadian number 15. Shell has got herself 6. If she gets herself a hat-trick here up against the Kiwis, she will be sitting at the top of that list heading into a very important final. Also in the back three for the Canadians, they have got Hogan Rochester out on that left wing, so she is going to be marking up with Braxton Sorensen-McGee. Out on the right, Corrigan has got her hands full with Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe. Now, I mentioned New Zealand are wearing the black. The Canadians, they are wearing their white strip for this contest. I'm not sure why they weren't allowed to wear the red. I guess it's for the sake of someone being the away side per se. In fact, their away strip has more black on it than their home kit. Looking through at the 4-pack, of course, the always dangerous in the locking duo, Dagudi alongside O'Donnell, and then also that 9-10 combination, as well as a little bit of a milestone game for the number 7 in this game, Paquin. But with that being said, we are into the chat. There are 18 messages already, so I do appreciate every single one of you for being here, or at least that was in just the recent times that we were here. We have got Hamish Wake Up. We are up. We are ready to go for this contest. Of course, it is going to be an absolutely massive one. Bloody hell, love the haircut. Says Akaris there, and Hamish is here. Everyone behave. And all you all get their nice haircut, says Dean. I did lose a bet. It was if the Springboks managed to beat the All Blacks and we hit a light goal, we were going to get the haircut. And unlike some, we stick to our word, which does mean that it is a lot shorter. At this stage, we have got there, had to get the haircut because he made a bet with us, says Theme in there. Excuse me, sir, what have you done with Hamish in there? But first half of this contest, getting very close. The national anthems are being sung to sell more shirts, says Big Rig. Very close this one. I just give it to the Canadians. And good evening, Hamish. How are you doing? Or are you doing Samoa Chile? I am hoping to. I know that it's on Rugby Pass, so we'll be keeping an eye out for that one. And morning, Hamish, very Breaking Bad. Good man, sticking to your word, says Matt there. And looking through at the benches very quickly before this match does get underway. For the Kiwis, they have got Latiinga in that number 23 jersey. Teresa Stefano there. Of course, no Amy Duplessis, although recently did get herself engaged during this World Cup period. And then also no Georgia Miller, undisclosed injury. So that's a little bit of a concern for the Kiwis. Definitely if they do want her back for next week, whoever loses this game does still have to play again, as they will be playing for that 3rd place position. Off the bench for the Canadians, they have got the 7 superstar in Olivia Apps. Normally adds quite a bit later on into a contest. Shouldn't be any different in this matchup, but you can see already there are some nerves out there on the field for New Zealand as well as the Canadians, and we are only at the national anthem stage for someone like a Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe. She has already done more in terms of those try-scoring tallies than most have throughout their whole career, and she's still got a bit more time left perhaps. That final would be the big send-off for Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe. But I mentioned about the semi-finals leading to another game next week. The final will be taking place at 4 a.m. New Zealand time. That does overlap with the Rugby Championship match between the Boks and the Argentines. But this game here, 3rd place final, it will be 11:30 New Zealand time. I believe there are no overlaps with that one. The Canadian national anthem now being sung. Alex Tessier, the captain, looking proud. And the thing that Canada have had throughout this whole competition is determination. They just look fired up and like they want to smash absolutely everyone. And I feel like that is one of those cases here where if they go out and bring the physicality to New Zealand early, it is going to hurt the Kiwis right from the get-go. New Zealand were slow starters up against the South Africans. It actually took them half the game to even get close to feeling a bit of a rhythm. But looking at the most recent scores that we have seen, New Zealand beating the Spanish in round number 1, 54 points to 8. They were able to beat the Japanese in round number 2, 62-19, 40-0 up against Ireland, which we saw Ireland have a close game up against the French, so it's hard to say, was that the Irish playing out of their skins, or was it France maybe not quite finding their rhythm at a bad time in the competition? Them beating South Africa, although at half-time, was a very even scoreline, 46-17 the way that the game it did finish for the Canadians. They were able to beat Fiji 65 points to 7, 42-0 up against the Welsh, beating Scotland as well, so having some real success up against their Six Nations sides, 40 points to 19, and then up against the Aussies, 46-5. So you could actually argue, and I feel like not many people would argue back, that neither of these sides have actually been tested yet throughout this Women's World Cup. Yes, they've had some tremendous games. Yes, they've had little moments where they've maybe looked a little nervous, but they haven't had that big, hard type of contest that could really take them into deep water. And I do feel like that is what this match will be. Both of these two sides just going out there, putting on the full 80 minutes because they have to. Because they know that if they don't, their opposition's going to get them here. And with the odds being so close, and these two sides' recent records being so close, anything can happen. We have good there. I thought I was on the wrong page. The haircut suits you, man. Says Bongi in there. And no, we need Miller, says Jax, although still a very decent loose forward trio here for New Zealand. Of course, Georgia Miller would have been very handy to have for this matchup, but I do still feel like the fact that they didn't lose Olsen Baker to an injury early, that definitely did help, but New Zealand fired up. It looks like Leti Inga will be the lady who is leading in this haka. We have got there, kia ora to my Māori, please, says team there. And 20 points to 27, the Canadians to win it. And also we have got there Simons to score the winner, says Rugby Itch in there as well. And we have got there Hamish to has his armpits left. Yeah, I'm running out of hair, unfortunately, from these most recent forfeits. We had to go to a mustache. South Africa costing me a lot of facial and also hair in general. We have got there, go Canada, says Lily. Canada for the win. People shout Canada out too much. It's time for them to send home a big name team. And also we have got there, do they end up disclosing what Georgia's injury is? I haven't seen it yet. And I don't know whether or not it is because it's something, that they don't want out there, or whether it is actually the case of they aren't too sure what it is as of yet. But they've only got about a week to find out. And we have got there, I love the buzz cut, Hamish. Says Merely there, thank you very much. And we have got there lots of red in the stands. Looks like an away game for our Black Ferns, says Rodney. And also my second, says Ethan. But do, of course, let me know not just your score predictions for this game, ladies and gentlemen, but also who you think's going to score the first try. Now, someone who's a safe bet, I would think, is Braxton Sorensen McGee, because, she obviously has got a few tries. She's got 8 so far. Next bet has to be not to get a haircut for 3 months, says Rugby Itch. Yeah, that one might be easier. Definitely with this at the moment, it's going to take a little while to grow back to a decent length. You should have seen the looks I got the first day at the supermarket. It was not ideal. We have got there, at least we do not have a French ref. And come on, the Fern smashed them, bro. Says Zion in there as well. But the haka has been done by the Kiwis, which does mean we are now here at the kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. And that means now we get ads here in New Zealand, unfortunately. But the quarterfinals, these are the way that they set. 46 points to 7 win for New Zealand over the South Africans. Canada having the same amount of points scored as New Zealand, but conceding less with 46 points to 5. When I talk about these two sides being very even, that's a perfect example. The fact that both of them somehow scoring exactly the same points up against very different opposition. In the other quarterfinals, tell you what, that third match, the one out of the 4 that we didn't do, it's always the closest when we don't do it, and that was the case. 18 points to 13 in favour of the French. And then England versus Scotland, that Six Nations rematch, just a little bit one-sided, 40 points to 8. But those two sides play off tomorrow. We will be keeping an eye on that game as well. We have got there a donation. If you call a New Zealand win, no matter what. So we have got there, if you call a New Zealand win, no matter what's the real score. Says, so you're saying even if Canada win, you just want me to say New Zealand have won? And we have got there, oh damn, I just noticed the buzz cut. Says Flesh in there. And who's streaming the live game, says Vernon. I believe Sky Sport have it, Stan Sport have it, Paramount Plus have it, Super Sport have it. There's a few other options, but your best bet is to go onto the Women's World Cup website, go to the one or where to watch option, and then you'll be all good to go. And Morena Hamish, nice hairdo. Porsche first try, says Paya. Probably a decent shout too. She didn't get the ball as much in that last match up against the South Africans as I was expecting for Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe, but she has more than enough ability to still be able to go and get herself a hat-trick here. You look 2 years younger, says Dunya. The comment from the barber was don't shave the beard as well, and I think that is also because, or else I would look like I'm just out of high school. We have there, iPlayer has it, if you have a VPN. What time is the Chile game? I believe it's at about 7 a.m. New Zealand time on Sunday. We will have that one all scheduled in the relatively near future. Right, the ads are over here in New Zealand, which means we're ready to go for the Kickoff New Zealand. We'll be kicking this one off from left to right. And it is going to be Amy Barrett-Theron as the referee in charge. She is a South African ref. We've actually seen her quite a bit on the channel, mainly because of doing so many South African games. Kia ora from Perth, Western Australia, says Marcel. Welcome in. And Sorensen McGee, but we are underway for the Women's World Cup semi-final. Nicely taken from Canada, and that is the first thing that you want under your belt. Being able to take a kick-off, no knock-ons, and straight back into your work. Canada having a great game up against the Australians, but like I said, neither of these sides have been fully tested. That's a good shot from Makaeli Tu'u, running into O'Donnell, just outside of Canada's 22. We have their deep sweat. Scottish have kilt. Says, wait, what? And there as well, but now a big push across. New Zealand defending well. Canada just outside of their 22. Looking to shift it away to this right-hand side, getting it into the wide channel with a good attack and run from Shell. Has already scored the 6 tries throughout this Women's World Cup. Big chopping tackle made by Valiko. And the ball bounces out on the side of the Black Ferns. Now using their backline. It's the captain getting involved, Bremner. And now running it sideways, Tukuafu. 35 metres out from the line. Holdy Lane, across to the left-hand side. Canada's defence throughout this competition has been relentless. I don't see it being any different because it is a semi-final. If anything, it will take it to the next level. Little pop pass over the top from New Zealand out to Stacey Waka, who's driven 10 metres backwards in the tackle by, I believe it would have been Forteza. She had a great game up against the Wallaroos. Big collision. New Zealand back inside of their own half. So far this attack not mounting to metres made. Best ref at the tournament, very fair and consistent. Cesar Caras there. The perfect referee to have for the Women's World Cup semi-final. Off to the left-hand side now through the hands to Braxton Sorensen McGee. She's shut down early. Ball stolen by the Canadians in the breakdown. It was Corrigan. And now Canada have got themselves the ball again. So both have lost the ball already early on. Little kick attempted in behind. Cleaned up by Bremner. And then played in front. There was actually accidental offside from Makaeli Tu'u, but it's called as the knock-on. And the first scrum of the day will go the way of the Canadians. But a frantic pace. You can see already there are a few deep breaths being taken as it was 2 minutes of non-stop action between these two sides. Couple turnovers, couple huge hits coming in. And we have got there, did your hairdresser give you a discount for the cut or the full price? She actually gave it to me on the house. Because I was in there 6 days ago, she was actually generous enough to just say, no, I did try and pay for it twice. And she was like, nah, not taking it. We have got there some big bets. Must have win on Canada. Their price is shortening all day from $2.10 into $2.90 at kickoff. And total non-stop action, says Big Rick. Yeah, it's been a frantic pace for the start of this contest. Already 3 minutes in, and we have got ourselves the first scrum of the day. Canada going to be feeding this ball in. They've just mentioned there that Canada have not lost one of their own scrums throughout this whole competition. And Hamish Well looking fab short. Says Ruth, yes, welcome in. Of course, there'll be quite a few people who will be seeing the hair for the first time as they come in. That's a nice hairdresser. Glad you stuck to the bet, Hamish. Says Xander. Yeah, I think ever since I did get the haircut, though, it's been about 5 degrees colder here over the last couple of days. Been a bit chilly, or maybe I'm just noticing it more. Now, hey, Hamish, I'm doing well. This is going to be a great game. Already has started with a couple minutes of frantic action, so it's going to be a great 80 minutes, and I think whoever can go that full 80 minutes is going to be the side that wins this. Now, ball fed in by Canada, though, retaining their own scrum, going off the back for Teza. Now off to the right-hand side. Pass was just a little bit behind the hands of Shell, but she's done well to be able to claim it. Now cutting back in is Corrigan, 40 metres out from the New Zealand line. Rush defence, leaving a bit of a gap there from Olsen Baker. And New Zealand getting back to be able to cover anyway. Now Canada with the Goody short ball, and that is a knock-on this time from the Canadians. Georgia Ponsonby popping it up, but it does go back more. They will go back for the scrum. We have got the France and England. We had good semi-finals, says Bortnight, and also Canada 46, New Zealand 24, says Casper. So you're going quite a high-scoring game in that regard. They're showing both of the coaches, both looking calm at this point. But I do think those nerves will definitely build throughout the second half. So you get closer to the full-time siren. And the thing is, these two sides could be separated by less than 10 going into the final 10 minutes. We have got their skin fade, number 3 or 4 on top, says Naz Williams. So it was 2 on the side. 2 on top, 1 on the side. She said that she'd help me out a little bit and make it a slightly less noticeable buzz cut. But I think it's probably still pretty noticeable at the moment, I'd say. I have 2 donuts for the first New Zealand try. The other disappeared, waiting for this game. Miranda Hamish says Dylan, welcome in. Oh, another reset of the scrum. Okay, all 3 from both sides going head-to-head. Now, most of them agreed. Georgia Ponsonby straight away started complaining about the placement of the Canadian foot. It's a little bit of Dane Cole's move right there. We have got the, I did my conversion wrong. Here goes at 4 nanometers per second. So how many nanometers do I need before it's about a 2 or 3 in length? I got a haircut a couple of days ago. Number 1 sides and back and 3 on top. Yours looks similar, says Marcel. Now Poldy Lane, ready to put this one in. It's going to be nicely gained. I should have mentioned I got this a few days ago, so it's probably grown back to a little bit longer than it was. If you're very lucky, we might show a video at halftime of it happening. We have got their morning roof, says Naz. Now we have got their frosty semi-final. Yeah, neither of these two sides are going to be giving up too much away too easily here. Looks like now New Zealand are already ready for the line out, but Canada are doing a huddle. Seen sides get told off for that already throughout this competition. Shave your beard, says Ethan. No. We have got our low, says Zach Cuts. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Now line out throw here for Tutosi. Now breaking off the back, attack and run from McKinley Hunt. She had a very good quarterfinal as well. Now a piercing run. New Zealand not able to get that ball back to Goody. Now going on the outside. Big shot coming in on Tessier. 20 metres still from the line for the Canadians. It looks like Makeli Tu'u was not too happy with Canada trying to milk that penalty. She actually gave her a bit of a death stare there while lying on the ground. They've got themselves the penalty advantage now too here, Canada. Looking to use it off to the right-hand side. That ball is available. In fact, no, deciding left would be better. Little chip attempted in behind. TCA goes up for it, takes it nicely. New Zealand still defending. Pick and go from Corrigan. Offload on the inside. Beautiful sell of the dummy. And the first try of the match goes the way of the Canadians. It is going to be Justine Pelletier who does score it. And the first try of the semi-final has now been scored. New Zealand leaving that gap on the inside. Canada making the most of it off a nice little chip in behind too. Yeah, really well done by the captain. Then quick pick and go from Corrigan. Offload on the inside. She had Simons on the outside, but goes herself and manages to score it. Canada will dominate. Says E-Sox there. That seemed too easy. Says Big Rig. They were making a lot of meters there, the Canadians. But that one's now going over, and that is going to make the score 7-0 in favour of the Canadians. We have got their haircut as Patreon content, but we don't have a Patreon. What happened on your temples? Did she shave you? As in like the... I don't think so. I think it's just the way that they kind of stick out a little bit. I can move them quite a lot. So that might be why. Makes it look like it might be slightly shorter. There go Canada. And also we'll get there right up the middle of the field. That's mildly concerning. So yeah, starts race, but now New Zealand 8 minutes into the game. They are 7-0 down up against this Canadian side. Going to be kicked off short now. Taken. by Florence Simons, who manages to get round one tackle before Risi Poldy Lane got a bit of an ankle tap. But another big fend almost through for the 50-cap veteran in this game, Piquet. Now, still driving. They're making easy meters at the moment up against this Black Ferns side. They did start slow up against South Africa, so that is one thing that they may have up their sleeve. Maybe a better second up, but now another backline almost going through, looking for the offload. And now Simons dragged down currently. Canada find themselves 35 metres out. And there's the penalty going the way of Canada. It's going to be against New Zealand for not rolling away. Come on, Canada, says Michael Chambers there. What time is it in New Zealand? It's currently 6:10 a.m. at the moment. Now we have got there, come on Canada, says Tom, and also 6:13 a.m. in New Zealand. An early stage of the game, says Mataputa. It is indeed. Plenty of time left. Sylvia Sprunt not tackling her opposite, says Rodney. I hear that big news that Amy Duplessis was going to be out for the competition did hit a little while ago, and Brunt's going to have a big game here, going up against Tessier, who does seem to be one of the handier players when it comes to that finding of a gap for Canada. Now rolling maul, starting up, sitting about 15 metres out from the line now. New Zealand trying to defend it. It looks like Alana Bremner, the New Zealand captain, trying to get through the middle now, slinging it off to the left-hand side. Little pop pass in behind here. Canada, if they can get it out wide, this could be try time again. Big fend and a try out wide for Asia Hogan. Rochester, missed tackle one-on-one from Renee Holmes. And the Canadians are cutting the Kiwis open. 3 tries in the tournament, and you can see already, there's a couple nervous faces out there for the Black Ferns, but the back line over the top, there was so much space, and then Brunt gets the brunt of the fend from Asia. Hogan Rochester, a world-class pass to the wing. Yeah, perfect pass with the space. And I feel like that's something that the wide angle showed so perfectly, was the fact that New Zealand cut in, and Canada, if they could cut out, they were going to find success. But now a tricky kick from the sideline here for Sophie Dagoudi. But what a start to this match. Canada keeping their momentum flowing that they've had throughout the rest of this World Cup. We have got there getting bounced, says Bad Dog. 9 seconds remaining here for Dagoudi. She might have to speed this up a little bit, going through the motions. 5 seconds left. She keeps it low and just misses away to the left-hand side. So the score now after 11 minutes sits 12-0 in favour of the Canadians. 2 errors from Renee Holmes, and they scored off both, says Rodney. It's the type of thing that happens in a game of sevens, isn't it? If you miss that one-on-one tackle, normally the opposition will score. In this case, no other cover defence. In that scenario, Canada are dripping. Says Marcel, in early days yet, go the Black Ferns, but unexpected, to be honest. I did not see it being this easy. Still early days, though, says Akaris. And also, go the Black Ferns, says Ale Tufia. Knock on there from Canada. So it does give New Zealand now a chance inside of the Canadian half. They haven't had a huge amount of them throughout the first little while of this match. But Stacey Waka, and then a couple high fives from her teammates. Possession at the moment, 71%. in favour of the Canadians. 58% territory here. Oh, we have got their goody gumdrops. Says his socks there. And also, hey, the syrups are crushing the Ferns. Says Xander, and hi all you rugger fans. Says Michael, I will mention anyone who is new. Of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have got the other semi-final just around the corner, France versus England. Now, that game is expected to be a little bit one-sided in favour of the record-breaking English in terms of the amount of matches they have won in a row each time that they play. But the thing is, we did see recently that France versus Ireland game. We saw that it can be close with an underdog, and now that same favourite from that game will be the underdog in their next. Should be a very intriguing type of match, but New Zealand now find themselves 22 metres out from Canada's line. Can they bust through the defence just like Canada did only moments ago? And there's a penalty to Canada in off the feet from Demant. Not support her body weight, diving through the middle. And it means that Canada do get themselves the penalty. Fun fact, which would look incredible with a mullet. I don't think that is actually true. We have got their point per minute. Says Bad Dogs and never right off the bench. Says Akaris, exactly right. Maybe that close game up against the Irish is exactly what they needed to fire them up and take them to the next level for their next contest. But Canada, they will kick this one into touch now. Sitting about 45 metres out from their own line. We saw the run from Makeli too, and yeah, that's a pretty illegal clean out right in front of the referee. Coming in through the side. Also in off the feet too. Come on, Kiwis, come on, come on. Says, wait, what? But line out throw here for Totosi. Nicely taken at the back from Fortes. Although that ball has dropped off the back of the rolling maul. It has gone backwards, says the ref. Oh, rush defence from New Zealand. It is going to be Olsen Baker who breaks through, passes on the outside to Reti Pori Lane. One more offload to Bremner who knocks it on in the final moments. Now, she was facing backwards, but the ball did travel forward. That was the counter-attack New Zealand needed. Something a little bit more swift. Something that the Canadians weren't expecting. Olsen Baker timing her run off the line to perfection to be able to get themselves the interception. We have got there also France missing quite a lot of players through suspensions though, and a few injuries. Cesar Caris. Yeah, see, the injuries are unfortunate. The suspensions, I think, can only be blamed on themselves. Some of them anyway, the biting, for instance. But, yeah, I think that, if anything, the younger players and the ones that people aren't used to seeing might be the ones that really do step up. Because this is one of those games, talking about that England versus France, that is one of the biggest matches for a lot of those young ladies' careers. You know, they want to go out there and make a statement. Same can be said about these two sides, Canada and New Zealand. There's a big push from the Kiwis. Canada still yet to lose one of their own scrums, and Corrigan very close to the sideline here. Now 5 metres out from the line, just trying to create a little bit of an angle here for Canada to kick with. Now back into the pocket and looking to clear her lines. It will go into touch. In fact, that's a very good kick from that angle. Braxton Sorensen McGee decides to take it quickly. Drop ball from Renee Holmes. Mistake number 3 from her in the semi-final. But the ball is still on the side of New Zealand. Pick and go from Kennedy to Kuafu. And we have got there definitely seems to be a size discrepancy between these two teams. Yeah, a lot of sides look smaller than Canada throughout this Women's World Cup. They have got some really tall timber across their 15. Now Pori Lane, back across to the left-hand side, finds Georgia Ponsonby driven sideways by the Canadian defence. Now pick and go again, popping it up into the hands of Olsen Baker. To create that initial line break that New Zealand had. Now in behind, Demant decides that she wants to run it, pops it on the inside to Brunt. Smashed in the shot again from Forteza. New Zealand players are lean, says Big Rig, and perhaps that could benefit them later on in the contest if it does play at a high tempo. Now Demant running into her teammate Bremner, held by Hunt. Now it's told to release. They aren't really going forward at the moment here. New Zealand again. Little pop pass from Georgia Ponsonby. Now Stacey Waka showing off the footstep and butt. She drops the ball forward. And Canada managing to take it back. They'll kick it in behind. Looking for the 50-22. Bouncing awkwardly. Braxton Sorensen McGee. She will put her boot to ball and send it down the middle of the field. But Canada now, their dangerous back three. Chance to counter-attack. Here comes the running of Shell, who has already scored 6 tries throughout this Women's World Cup, falling the wrong way there. An extra roll could have been the penalty to New Zealand. Back up to the right-hand side. And that was almost dropped in the collision. She might be hurt here for Menon. She is slow getting back up to her feet. Offload now back to what would have been Crossley. And they're going back for the initial knock-on. And it was the knock-on from Menon as she went down. We have got there, sounds like the Trots. And also we have got there, Holmes needs to come off, says Jonas, or Jonas's. And we have got there also, come on Canada, show them how tough hockey players are made, or has made your players, says Casper there. But a nice step there from Shell. As she get through that New Zealand defence like she has many other sides that she has come across already. You're talking about getting out Letiinga already on the field. I feel like it's a bit too early to make that switch, but of course they'll probably bring her in, I would think 30 minutes to go, somewhere around there. Canada really proving why they are second in the world right now, says Jeremy. And also we have got there, you don't want your number 10 having an off game in the final. So in this case it is Demant in that number 10 jersey at the moment for the Kiwis. Taylor Perry as the 10 for the Canadians. Just a little bit of strapping going on to Chris Felico's leg at this stage, or her lower leg, I believe it is the ankle. And have the faith firms need to warm up. Says, wait, what? Yeah, they were very slow starting in their last game up against the South Africans. Now, I just very quickly want to see the difference in scoreline for what we saw at halftime from their quarterfinals. As someone who grew up on the west coast of Canada, who grew up playing rugby, soccer growing up, other rich kids played hockey in my town. This brings me joy. Says Hugh. And yeah, they have started this match extremely well. Already 2 tries under the belt. Okay, Chris Baliko. She's just had her ankle re-strapped. Referee comes over to her and says, time's still off, but I'm just going to give you a quick scrum lecture. Don't change your mind. And they could be soon. The way they're playing, says Jeremy there. So yeah, in the quarterfinals, Canada versus Australia at halftime in that contest, it was 31-5. So Canada are known for their quick starts. New Zealand in their game up against the South Africans, they found themselves sitting at halftime 10-all. Whereas they finished that match with the same amount of points as Canada had. So Canada only scoring, I believe it was 11 points throughout the second half. Or in fact, it was a little bit more, 15 points in the second half up against the Australians. But at the same time, they were in a comfortable position. So I feel like they didn't need to fully push. You know, they already had that game control. Paulie Lane, speaking of pushes, the scrum just taking place for New Zealand outside of the 22. And as Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe tries to step around the outside, but a great tackle made by Simons again. Paulie Lane, I can't think of too many missed tackles we have seen at the moment from the Canadians, which has been the big difference maker. Oh, we have got there, don't forget to change the scoreboard, eh? Says Canada, one moment, we'll shake the mouse and hopefully it will decide to update itself. It is an online scoreboard. There we go. It's gone a bit too far though. It is 18 and a half minutes through. Now kicked high, Shell chasing after this one, showing some pace, can't quite get to the bounce of the ball, and it goes into touch. But now it is going to be the line-out option or a knock-on here for New Zealand. Okay, scrum will line out the call from the ref to Kennedy Tukuafu. And Canada not a fast start team. They are usually good at around 20 minutes. Says AMN, or A&M. Yeah, 31 points throughout their first half up against the Australians. And I can't think of too many times that they have not had a pretty good start to their matches. You know, within the first 20 minutes of their last game, they had 4 tries up against the Australians. But now ready to fire this one. And they have just got the 2 here, but that is still pretty significant to have up against the Black Ferns. And we have got there the Canadian flags from HRI. And also did Canada women win against New Zealand women. The time that they played earlier on this year, it was a draw. And then before that, it's been 1 win New Zealand, 1 win for the Canadians. I will say the way you Kiwis pronounce M is cute as hell. M. How else do people pronounce an M? M. Is that not how everyone says it? Oh, that's close to the sideline. Braxton Sorensen McGee showing off a little bit of footwork there to keep the ball alive. Now in the middle of the park, Sylvia Brunt. Tackle around the halfway line. Canada in the breakdown and win another penalty. This time it is Sophie DeGoody who gets over it and does manage to get the penalty. Canada are rolling here in this semi-final. And Canada will wear us down. And we see there just keeping the ball in the field of play for Braxton Sorensen McGee. And then DeGoody just locked in under the arm there. Got her hands on the ball. Manages to get the steal. Oh dear, says Big Rig. That one's going to be kicked in a touch by Canada. Does go out about 22 metres from the line. M. So how else? So do we shorten it or do we lengthen the letter M? Now I'm overthinking it. It sounds a bit like M, as opposed to, what, M? Like, what's the... How do you not say an M without using an E at the start of the letter? But now rolling maul. I'm going to have to listen to people from overseas saying the letter M after this. Oh, another advantage, this time going against 7 for an illegal bind. So that is Tukuafu who's been penalised there. Canada now going off to the left-hand side. Skip pass. Ball on the outside was almost on but couldn't quite free up their hands for Shell. But now they'll fire it out to the left. Asia, Hogan, Rochester, awkward bouncing ball. But they'll go back for the original penalty advantage. M. So I got to say it's slower. Wait, no, I lengthen it. Over there, Canada's bench is super deep. Deep says A and No, I have to long in it, don't I? I'm confused now. Now, going right across the field. I believe Canada will kick this one for the corner again here. No, I'm just not going to bother trying to pronounce it anymore. And tactics ferns, we're told to just hold before going into attack. I'm guessing Hans de Goody, as their father, that captain Canada in the 1987 Rugby World Cup. Yeah, she's got quite the talent, because the thing is, there aren't many number 4s in international rugby who also take the goal kicks. But she is one of it. I think it's the accent. I don't think you can help it. Says Big Rig. Now, a line-out throw here, 5 metres from the line. Nicely taken at the front by de Goody. Now looping around short side. And he stopped 5 metres from the line again by this Black Ferns defence. But every time Canada run, they make at least 1 metre. Whereas New Zealand down the other end of the field, they were losing just a bit of ground every time they took a collision. Now pick and go again here. Big shot from Makaeli Tu'u. Now getting closer and closer towards that try line. Off to the left. Oh, almost dropped by Forteza, but she does well to be able to regather. Pick and go again. Momentum on the side of Canada. They are relentless with the speed that they are getting this ball out of the ruck this time. McKinley Hunt gets that little bit closer. 1 metre out from the line now for the Canadians. They can shift this one wide. There should be a lot of open space. Now just taking their time. Short ball to Forteza once more. Can Canada get their third of the semi-final? One short again. Well defended by the Black Ferns, but how long can they hold on up against this relentless way that we are seeing Canada go now out to the left-hand side? Oh, chance here. And the try is scored by Simons. And that is try number 3 for Canada as they sit 25 minutes in. 17-0. Over the Black Ferns, who now have to regroup under the post again. This is happening very often throughout this game. I need to stop using the eyes and tackle. Says Freshie there. And we have got there, boom, says Hugh. And also we have got there, you took it all the way, didn't you? Down, didn't you? I was told a buzz cut. Well, I did come up with the buzz cut. And sadly, we hit that light goal. So I did have to get the job done. Did you say your mum is joining commentary if the Ferns are in the final? That is the plan anyway. I'm hoping to convince her to be able to do that final. And Mr. Georgia and KVK, oh dear, what a hiding. Make changes immediately. Bunting, coming around. Canada just hitting the post with that one for de Goody. We'll keep the score at 17 points to 0. Rapid fire start. But they finished there for Simons. Got the pass on the outside. Again, the assist for Tessier. A nice buzz cut, Hamish. Says Brett there. And what's going on with the Black Ferns? They're getting outplayed throughout the early stages of this match, like I mentioned. Every time that Canada get the ball, they're making at least 1 metre per face, with the exception of being 1 metre out from the line. That's quite hard to make a metre every single time. Whereas New Zealand, every time they've started with the ball about 30 metres out from the line, they end up in their own half. Canada just rushing up, shutting them down, and forcing them as far back as physically possible, forcing New Zealand to either kick or make a mistake. Flo Simons says rugby itch there. Yeah, she did get herself that try. Now going up for it, nicely taken by Stacey Waka as New Zealand retain the ball. Now Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe going off to this left-hand side. Georgia Ponsonby offloads to Valiko, who gives it back to Ponsonby, who puts in the fend now, showing some pace. The New Zealand number 2. Now ball available, quickly used to the left-hand side for New Zealand. This is as close as they have been to the opposition line, with the exception of that Bremner run about 15 minutes ago. Tukuafu getting that little bit closer. Canada looking for the steal with the breakdown. Rus dragged down 1 metre out. Now looking to use their big players over the line for New Zealand. The try for Tanya Kolunavale, I should say, in that number 3 jersey. She scores. New Zealand get their first try back. New Zealand needed that, says all in the game. They absolutely did. They were falling behind just that little bit too much. But now they're back in it. And also we have got our Lewis Canada. Says it was Eldrick there. And needed that, says Fletcher. And finally, but yeah, just retaining the kickoff. What a difference getting a bit of possession can make for this Black Fern side. Rus got close. But in the end, Tanya Kolunavale is the one who manages to finish it off. First donut, long wait. And also we have got there the Ferns showing a little bit of life Says Big Rig there. Right, Renee Holmes, she had a bit of a rough day off the kicking tee last week up against the South Africans. The week prior, she was phenomenal. Up against the Irish, what are we going to see today? The kick has gone over, making the score 17 points to the 7 now. Finally, some running rugby. I hate it where Holmes and Demant kick it down. Like just run, says Laker. Definitely up against a side like Canada, who are known for how strong their back three is. Hogan, Rochester, Corrigan, as well as Julia Shell. Like, those three have some pretty impressive tries throughout this year's World Cup. Holmes' better goal kicking could be the difference maker, says all in the game. Yeah, Canada currently sitting 1 from 3 in terms of their kicks taken, but already 27 minutes through this game. It is absolutely flying by at Ashton Gate, the home location of the Bristol Bears. We're seeing quite the performance from the Canadians so far, but New Zealand having their first big moment. New Zealand women will come back with a bang, says Nethia there. And good thing, first territory. Points, let's go now off to the right-hand side. New Zealand looking to attack from inside of their own 22. Passed on the outside. Tukuafu firing it on. That looked close to 4 to Braxton. Sorensen McGee chipped on the inside. Awkward bouncing ball. New Zealand had 2 there. Sorensen McGee and Poultry Lane. But it goes into the hands of De Goody. And now Canada have it on the halfway line. Possession territory game here is honestly looking better. Got in combo with the beard, says Tristan. Yeah, it didn't look as awful as I thought it was going to, I'll be honest. I was a bit worried that it was going to be, like, don't get me wrong, it's very short. It's a lot shorter than it's ever been. But I think we'll get used to it. And we kind of have to, because, you know, it's going to take a while to grow back. Now kick downfield from Renee Holmes, once again feeding that back 3 for the Canadians. Julia Shell going for a little chip in behind herself. No one getting back there. She's tackled without the ball. So I believe this could end up being, oh no, it's called us the knock on first. I was about to say it could end up being the penalty against the Black Ferns. It looks like Shell was just asking that question whether or not counted as the penalty. She's 18, not even a prime weapon. And we have got there, New Zealand needs to kick somewhere other than into Canadian back three's hands. And we have got there the Canadian flags, I assume that is from Mark. And also, how did the Ferns score? They managed to retain the kickoff. Stacey Waka going up for it, grabbing that ball, and then from there, just repeated phases, making those meters, and then using the big forwards with Tanya Kolunavale managing to finish it off. Now, Rizzi Poultry Lane, this will be the scrum feed for New Zealand, currently sitting about 43 meters out from their line. We have got there, fun fact, the pacemaker was invented by a Canadian. Says randomly factual. Well, that is a randomly factual fact. Right there. Now, Poultry Lane goes off to the left-hand side. Demant. Now, wide. Cut out past Portia Woodman-Wycliffe. She hasn't really had as much touching of the ball. She gets tackled by Simons. Very nicely done. And that should almost be Canada's ball. No, it won't be. And very unlucky there for Alex Tessier, who looked like she was in there lightning quick. Mark has got stop signs now. He's finding any emoji that's red and he is firing it. Now 10 minutes remaining in this first half. Poultry Lane back across to the right-hand side to Mant with the wide cut-out pass ball to Stacey Waka. Now to Ponsonby. They are just trying to move this one around a little bit more than they were early on in the match, New Zealand, trying to find those gaps in the Canadian defence. We have got their make it work, aunties, with you all day. Says Johnson there with the middle finger, I think that is. I don't know whether that was a accidental emoji or not. Going off to the left-hand side, Renee Holmes finding now Demant, puts the ball on the outside. Sorensen McGee passes it into touch. And it will now be Canada's option of either the line-out or the scrum. We have got another pro-New Zealand ref. There was a tackle without the ball, says Crowpot Kine. I think that it was because the knock-on happened before that stage of Shell knocking on, because I actually said at the time that I thought it might have been a penalty. But yeah, I think because the knock-on was prior, that is why they ended up saying that they were going back for the scrum. But now 9 minutes remaining. We have got there Lursla Canada. And also we got there Canada looking tired now, says Rodney. Georgia Miller would send that home for the Ferns. She's already being missed, says Robert T. They're showing there though, Olsen Baker. She's had 7 carries, 57 metres made and made 6 tackles at this point of the match. So the fact that she's even playing, I still can't get over the fact that she was down and stretched it off in the very first match of this competition to then be there now. Love to Canada, says Logan Roberts. And adrenaline will wear off. Then the Ferns pounce. Says, wait, what? And now just the 9 minutes remaining in this first half. In fact, closing in on 8. Canada now feeding the scrum in again. We've already seen 3 tremendous tries coming from Canada in this match. They're looking for number 4 here. Passed on the outside. Shell goes to Asia. Hogan Rochester close to the sideline. Managing to offload it back in, but it is driven out by Renee Holmes and her defence on Alex Tessier. Line out for New Zealand round the halfway line. Tough as nails, that one. We have got there, pass the touch, keep it tight in the middle, compress the middle. The holes open wide, sometimes can't just go out wide, got to draw them in, says Bag Dogs. And wishful thinking there, Rodney, Canadians can run forever. So here's A&M. Now line out here for New Zealand, Georgia Ponsonby. This is actually New Zealand's first actual throw throughout this matchup. 32 minutes in. Kiwis have hardly won a penalty, so have hardly been able to put it into the corner or anything along those lines. It's taken by Bremner. And now Poldy Lane goes across to Demant. Oh, drop ball by Sylvia Brunt in the middle of the field in Canada. Managing to take it back. Portia Woodman-Wycliffe cleaned out of the breakdown in a hard shot by DeGoody too. Sounds like Holmes should have been on the bench. Come on, coach, be a coach. Says Bad Dogs. Oh, a bit of an awkward pass there for Tessier, so they will go back for the initial scrum due to the drop ball of Sylvia Brunt. Now Canada in prime position, 42 metres out from New Zealand's line. We have good there, we can win, says Rusty. And good D from the Black Ferns, says Rodney there. And yeah, Sylvia Brunt just letting that one slip through the fingertips before the contact of Taylor Perry. Or Perry, I should say, sorry, with an E rather than an A. We have good there, go for the Walter White goatee if New Zealand lose, says Tristan. I think I've got to try and at least grow a bit of hair for a bit first before we start losing it again. We have there the Canadian flags from AKJD. And 2 minutes in, call for Holmes on the bench to says, wait, what? And what games tomorrow? We have actually got about 5 games tomorrow. We're also hoping to cover Canterbury versus Otago for the Bunnings NPC and Ravenfurley Shield match today. That one's kicking off in about 8 hours, in fact, 10 hours time. Still anyone's game, says Akaris. It absolutely is. You know, even based off those quarterfinals, the fact that we have seen New Zealand have a better second half compared to Canada's first half in this quarterfinals, you know, will that play a factor, or is it because of the fact that Canada was so far ahead that they kind of breezed? I think it might be that one. They didn't seem like they had as much intent throughout that second 40 up against the Aussies, but it's hard to have intent when you're already about 30 points up. Now New Zealand looking for the steal and the breakdown. They may just get it here. Tukuafu trying to rip it away. In fact, that time it was Olsen Baker, but the ball stays on the side of Canada. Now DeGoody sitting about 22 from the line again, and the tackle of Bremner. Are you doing Japan's game? We are indeed. Fiji versus Japan for the Pacific Nations Cup final. It's going to be happening on Sunday midday here in New Zealand. Beautiful offload on the inside to DeGoody. She should score it, and she does. Between the posts, again the defence cut open for New Zealand, and Canada strike. And they are now well and truly rolling in this contest. I smell the comeback. Well, that smell may have just gone a little bit away for a second. They're going to have to build that one back up. We have got there, will Canada keep up the pace or get tired second half? It's a good question, but no one has tested this Canadian side as of yet in this Women's World Cup, which means we don't know how deep their gas tank goes. We've seen them slow down in some of their games when they're already ahead by a large margin. We've got there, Brunt is poor on D and now offense. Of a tournament like the British and Irish Lions, but it's the Southern Hemisphere teams happen one day. Who would create it? Sanzar, or which rugby organisation can make it happen? It would have to be Sanzar, seeing as all those sides that you want to see together are all through the Sanzar kind of organisation. But that is a great try from DeGoody, and she just runs in. Massive gap at the back. And yes, Canada, DeGoody is a machine. She is a phenomenal player. And the fact that she kicks as well, just as a bit more icing on the cake. Now an important kick here for the Canadians. And it does go straight over the middle. 24 points to 7 now. And I'll bet my house on the Commonwealth country winning the World Cup. Says Tristan there. And bravo. Says Crowpot Kine. And Black Ferns will absolutely come back, says Sam Greer. They've gone for the short kick-off again, but this time it is taken by the Canadians. Asia Hogan Rochester. Driven backwards by Portia Woodman-Wycliffe. Looked like a relatively high collision there. Maybe chest on chest. Now a little sniping run to the short side, and that hasn't quite worked out for Peltier. In fact, she's done very well to be able to rotate and still keep him playing. That's going to be an offside against Tukuafu. Now advantage still in play for the Canadians, trying to get the steal, and the breakdown was Olsen Baker back into the pocket for Canada. They have still got that penalty advantage, so they will go back for it. They're saying there may have been a bit tough on Kennedy Tukuafu. She was not involved in the play, but a bit slow retreating there. Discipline and penalties killing New Zealand, says Studs Race. And it is what happened in their first half up against the South Africans. They had a lot of penalties in quick succession. The Black Ferns win from here. I'll eat a banana, including the peel. It's not happening, says Big Rig Joe. Speaking of Canada, will you cover the Tonga versus Canada third place match? We are going to be doing that one as well on the channel. A quick Shania Twain reminder. See, the only song I know of hers is Man, I Feel Like a Woman, but I don't know if that's the one you're referring to. Great job calling this, mate, says A&M. Thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be back for that England versus France semi-final around the corner. What's the next bet? If the Box win the Rugby Championship, Hamish, there are no other bets because I have hardly any more here left. We have to go there. Let's go the girls, says E-Sox. And France, Canada in the final or finale, awesome. Says Eldrick there, and Ulu's Canada. Says Eldrick there too. Now, chance here for the halfway line out for the Canadians. Points per visit at the moment, 4.8 for Canada. Trying to listen to you whilst watching the game live on BBC. It's not easy as live as a good minute and change ahead of you, says Ron. Yeah, so I guess you'd be watching me with a slight delay, wouldn't you? You end up seeing the try and then you have to wait for me to react to it. Now ball on the halfway line. The Canadians thinking about going with the inside ball. Nice run from Pelletier again. Like I said, she's been a nightmare on attack so far. Now Crosley sitting about 45 metres out. Another sell of the dummy from Pelletier. Right, missed another tackle, says Rodney. Eyebrows next. No, we're all right. We'll keep the eyebrows. Or else I will just literally be skin and bones on these streams. Now off to the right-hand side. Rochester cutting back inwards towards the 22-metre line. Trying to roll away there. New Zealand doing well with Makaeli Tu'u. Oh, referee getting involved in the tackle on McKinley Hunt. First, no, New Zealand will come up against a live team and found wanting against a live team, like as in like a good team, or most of these teams I believe do have pulses. Now, chance here for Pelletier off to the right hand side. One more chance here for Canada to strike before half time. Currently only 70 seconds left. Now another pick and go. Referee's having a really hard time with the way that Canada are attacking. That was close to the steal for the Black Ferns. Low pass knocked on by Canada. They're going to go back now for the New Zealand scrum. We'll be watching the Currie Cup final tomorrow. We are going to be doing that game. Now, depending on the score, will depend on what happens in terms of where we go from there, because it does actually overlap with the women's semi-final. So more than likely, the sad reality of that is it's a URC side versus a Currie Cup team. So if the Lions are leading like 30 points or so by then, we will be transferring straight over to the next game. Breakdown is so good, says Robert T. We have there, the ref is absolutely blind. She doesn't have the cardio to keep up, says Hux. I don't think many referees would have the cardio to keep up with the way that these two sides have started. You know, they have just gone out there with a hiss and a roar. Definitely the Canadians. They just keep on pushing as fast as they can. 45 seconds remaining in the first half. I can tell you right now, every single player out there will be happy at his half time in 45 seconds. So I was hoping Black Ferns could pay them back, says Robert T. And my Wallabies got killed by Canada. New Zealand defenders are making business decisions, says Johnny there. But now chance for New Zealand to feed that ball. And again, currently sitting around 22 metres out from their line. Oh, bit of a juggle there from Poldy Lane, but doesn't end up knocking it on. Now backline movement for the Kiwis. If they can strike now before the halftime break, they wouldn't be a mile out of this game. Yes, it wouldn't be an ideal score line, but it could be worse. And don't forget to subscribe, says John. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. Attack and run again, this time from Chris Valico, just running a little bit high. We've got there from Charles, come on the Black Ferns. Now quick hands from New Zealand, and another knock on. This time from Makaeli Tu'u. I believe there's a couple seconds remaining in this half. But it's just those simple errors at the moment for New Zealand that are really hurting them. That's what happened when you have 6, though. I think you're too cool. Then these countries, or these other countries, would never notice these bad dogs. And also here the yes Amish says, hey no. And what a demolition it is. At the moment, pretty one-sided. All right, separation in points is 17. Handling errors. Actually more from Canada throughout this first half, surprisingly, with the 7 compared to the 6 of New Zealand. Although they have had less ball, New Zealand, so maybe in terms of minutes with possession, it might be a bit higher for the Black Ferns. We have there, are you a Springbok or a All Black? Says Cheryl, is that in terms of like supporting or like location-wise? And Canada versus France, imagine that. The final would be quite an intriguing one. Imagine New Zealand versus England as a third-place final. Oh, no stability from New Zealand, so quick tap taken by Canada after receiving the free kick. Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. And will that come back to her? Alex Tessier, from 25 metres out from New Zealand's line, decides to kick this ball out. They had an attack set out to the left-hand side, but they didn't use it. We have got there, Hamish saying that Canada has the balls, says Big Rig. We have got there, think a Women's Tri-Nations would be a good idea. Who are you having it between? Is it South Africa, New Zealand, and I guess Australia in that case? I wish I could watch this somewhere. I don't have TSN in Canada. Do you have a VPN, Amy Nelson? Because if you do, you might be able to set yourself to, I believe it's the UK, and watch it on iPlayer. It could be a great option. And we have got there, England were recently behind against Canada and came back in the last 10 minutes to beat a tiring Canadian side. Says Akardis. So you're saying there's a chance. That's what you're saying there. Ferns passes just don't want to stick. Yeah, and that penalty count. I don't know what it would be as of yet. They will show the stats in a very short moment. But to me, I think that New Zealand's handling, as well as the amount of penalties. New Zealand are currently $8 underdogs in this matchup, by the way. Canada, they are sitting nicely as that $1.05 favourites. So you would think that the icing's all but on the cake. But once again, I will reiterate, Canada in their game up against Australia scored 31 points throughout their first half to go on to win 46-5. So first half they scored 31, second half they scored 15 points. New Zealand in their game up against the South Africans, they were 10-all at halftime. They went on to win that game with 46 points. They scored 36 points throughout their second half of rugby. Now, there are a lot of factors that can go into that. You could argue South Africa probably tiring throughout the second half, seeing as that pace of New Zealand could have hurt them a bit. But at the same time, you know, there's still situations. And I do still feel like, once again, this Canadian side have not been tested deep into their gas tank. So if New Zealand can find that margin and then take them deeper from there, perhaps that is where they could have success. But it's going to take a lot, because Canada will be fresh for the first, at least I would think, 20 minutes, if not longer, throughout the second half after what has been a phenomenal start to this match. 2 tries early on and then just keeping on that relentless pressure. Some brilliant work from Sophie De Goody. She has missed 2 kicks off the tee, but I don't think that will cost them as of yet. We have good there, so 9 gets warned by the ref of a yellow, offside, but doesn't get penalised. Says Hugh R. High. And also we have got there, I'll tell you what, the chat's going quick at the moment. There's always a chance Canada could get 3 red cards. Says Big Rig there. And Dan was hoping Ricky Swinell wasn't commentating. She's annoying. And bad luck for the Ferns. Says Dub there. I think she's commentated all their games though, hasn't she? Or has there been a game that they didn't have her? Oh, actually, I know that she was doing France versus England, wasn't she, last week? Or sorry, France versus Ireland. No, she was doing France versus South Africa, I believe was the game that I saw her doing. We have there, when did the women start playing rugby? They have started quite a while ago. Mohadeen, they had a few World Cups, you know, and they're quite skillful, quite good at it, the rugby game. We have there, back Black Ferns, win or lose. And I ain't over till the lady sings. And everyone, what team in rugby are you? Says Jill. I don't really have a side per se. I'm from New Zealand, so of course, you know, I should be a avid All Black supporter, but I just love international rugby in general. Like, we cover everything that happens with the All Blacks, with the Springboks, with the Fijians. We have to put your name forward for New Zealand Women's Commentary, bro. Says Dub H. And there as well. Maybe one day. We'll see what happens. But looking through at the benches for these two sides, ladies and gents. First of all, for New Zealand, there have already been calls for Leti Inga to make her way onto the field after a bit of a rough start for Renee Holmes. Now, I do think she got better as the half wore on. Just a few early nerves from one of the more experienced veterans from New Zealand. Setafano, still an option off the bench, as well as Maya Joseph. They have got Say as that number 20, who I think, or Sae, sorry, and that number 20 jersey. Bremner's there too, Amy Rule. So it's a pretty handy bench for New Zealand in this match. Canada, they have got Olivia Apps, likes to add that late impact into a game. And I do think that both of these benches very strategically used throughout this matchup. I don't see anyone emptying their bench for no reason here. There will be reason behind the switches, and that will more than likely be fatigue or injury. And the way that these two sides are playing, fatigue is probably going to set in very soon because of the fast tempo has already been played. But what is on the line here, ladies and gents? Semi-final 1 loser will go on to face up against the loser of England versus France. That is for the 3rd place bronze medal of the World Cup. And then whoever wins, they go on to face the winner of France versus England. And that will be for all the marbles. But they don't actually win marbles, they win a trophy. And that is the Women's Rugby World Cup. But I think many would prefer that over some marbles anyway. But it's some great backline movement from the Canadians earlier. They're just showing the highlights of the try. Simon's managing to score it in the 24th minute. She slammed her head pretty hard on the ground there, but turnovers conceded 9 from Canada, 8 from New Zealand. Lineouts 1. I've got it there. I think they might be round the wrong way because I just mentioned New Zealand haven't had too many throws of the lineout, so they have only got just the one. Degudi has scored though. We saw Sean Pelletier has managed to get one too. We saw Simon, and also did see Asia Hogan Rochester as the other try scorer for the Canadians. But half-time, 7 points to 24. We have got there as well. What is your name? My name is Hamish. And we have got there, either way, it's 1. Great for all women's sports, says Nancy. And also Canada has played some great first 40s against England in recent times, but the Roses have always managed to pull them back. This game isn't over yet, Hamish says. Ronna, they are just showing there. Tackles missed 18 from the Black Ferns throughout that first half. Canada did miss 10 in fact, throughout that first half. Meters made is actually closer than some would have thought, and New Zealand having 6 dominant tackles, although it does feel like any time that Canada have got themselves on the tackling board, it's been forcing New Zealand backwards. Definitely in the first 15 minutes. Time to break out the all-dressed chips and crack. We have there, Canada ladies are doing us proud, says William there. And in the forward, she creates a hassle, a high work rate and skill. And keep it up, Canuck ladies. Thanks for the commentary coverage, Hamish, says James there. And kicking game is non-existent, says Rodney. New Zealand's defence too passive. Canada line speed making a massive impact. Have you ever seen the Marbles Olympics? It's legit fun, says Biggery. I'm sure it is. Is that the one now they like roll it down a big hill? Or like through a course? Maybe this line speed got the Black Ferns dropping balls. And we have there, Canada crushes. Oh, I think they're talking to Amy Duplessis at the moment. She recently did get herself engaged after a injury in this Women's World Cup. We have got there, go the Black Ferns, says Daniel. And if New Zealand can't slow Canadian ruck speed down, it's going to be a huge score. Well, that's the thing. We saw it even for, I believe it was the 2nd or 3rd. It might have been the 3rd try that we saw from the Canadians. Just pick and go. Ball goes down, sets, pick and go. And it was literally that quick that they were able to keep on bringing it around. That 11 for Canada, what a specimen, says Jake Toll. So that is Asia Hogan Rochester already getting herself 3 tries throughout the... comment from Amy Duplessis there saying that New Zealand do still have this. I don't know whether or not that is a quiet optimism or whether that is confidence coming from the New Zealand centre. But yeah, already having 3 tries, Asia Hogan Rochester. And I do actually think that Carrigan deserves a lot of credit for what she's been able to do throughout this game. She's really been pushing the tempo. She's been finding those gaps, something that Canada have been doing for fun throughout this one. And we have got there, New Zealand need to run the ball a bit now, says Fleshin, and New Zealand missing Georgia Miller big time. And too many errors, no pressure on Canada. Canada play the same way they always do, simple game plan, says Sam Sear, and it's been hugely effective throughout this matchup. We've seen 5 line breaks from New Zealand compared to the 4 of the Canadians. I think there, Michaela Brake, she is currently in the commentary box for the Kiwi. She's talking about the things that New Zealand have done wrong. We have got there, this will be a loss for National towards the next election, says Clifford. And also South African referee favouring Canada, Says Liver, I think it's just New Zealand are making more mistakes, unfortunately. Like, most of the penalties that we have seen so far have been pretty stock standard, basic things that the Black Ferns shouldn't be doing. You know, even that first one, we had to march straight in through the side in front of the referee. Like, if a ref doesn't penalise that, they get told off for going the other way. But, no, there's been a few obvious ones. I think the only one that maybe was a little bit harsh was Tukuafu, the one that she had where she was offside and just trying to retreat. But other than that, I think that the discipline has been poor from New Zealand throughout this game. And the handling hasn't been, at this point, much better. But that doesn't mean that it won't be in the second half. That's the tricky part of rugby. Sometimes you can have an outstanding first, and then you can go out there in the second and look like a whole different side. And that's what New Zealand need Canada to do here. The offside line doesn't exist for Canada. Says Jobo, their Canadian line speed is highly aggressive. Says Jake Toa, the Ferns are getting used to getting cooked this much. They look shocked. Well, they look shocked in that first half. Over there, Canada can do high tackles and gold on the ball and not get penalised. Gold on the ball. And gold on the ball. I have no idea what gold on the ball is supposed to be. Oh, hold on to the ball, maybe. The Springboks came back second half, says Mohuddin. Do you know how to watch live in Fiji? I think you'll need a VPN to be able to watch it in Fiji, unfortunately, just due to the broadcasting restrictions, unless it's on Sky Sport Pacific. Did you have a fight with a lawnmower? Says Glenn, I did not. I had a forfeit with some South Africans, is about the way that we'd say it. Ain't got to be on your game, bruh. Clutch, know your roles. Can't have your kicker going missing. That's not good. That's why the All Blacks are the most winning team of all time. You laugh, but it's a fact. I didn't laugh. Or now I laughed. But that was laughing because you said I would laugh, and I didn't laugh. We have there Canada rushing in defence while New Zealand are holding and drifting. Says Rodney, and I do think that you can't allow Canada space on their attack. They are far too dangerous at finding gaps in an opposition defence. We've seen that throughout their competition so far. Like, looking through at their recent games, their lowest score was 40 that they have got. And that was in the game up against the Scottish. Now, the intriguing part, and I mentioned about it, how Canada haven't really been tested in the second half yet, but that game up against the Scottish, it was actually relatively close at the start. And then as the match wore on, we did see then the Scottish start to drift off, and that's where Canada upped their tempo. So I just don't know if the stamina's going to be enough of a factor here. New Zealand are just going to have to be the better team throughout the second 40 minutes, because if they're not, they'll be playing off for the bronze next week. We have got there, they have like a 75% win rate. And looking great, Amish says Jimbo. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. By the way, nice haircut. Says What's Up Guys podcast. Your hair looks as smooth as I won't read the rest of that, but thank you, I think. And we have got there, love Canada to win. I love their build-up story from the start of the competition. Yeah, they've been phenomenal throughout this whole comp. They have shown intent from start to finish and look like a side that every single game when they take to the field, they play aggressive rugby. They play, at times, very structured rugby, and they just seem to be a really well-oiled machine at the moment. Now, New Zealand, they are the defending champs of this Women's World Cup, but at this stage of the match, haven't looked likely to be able to compete in the early stages. That does not mean that they won't throughout a second 40, though, because like I mentioned, they were 10-all in the game up against the South Africans. They scored within about 30 seconds of the second half starting. So I'd expect quite a quick start from the Kiwis, although the difference is they'll be receiving the kickoff here rather than kicking it like they did in that Springboks game. A hungry Canada looks so hungry more than every other women's team, says Big Rig. And this Kiwi sure can call a game, says East Socks there, and the Canadians look fit. Yeah, they haven't slowed down at all throughout this half. What would be the challenge to shave your beard and the mustache? Nothing at all. Because I just don't understand why I need to lose all my hair on YouTube forfeits. Like normally, like there's money on the line or something, but I just end up getting more and more naked. We have got there, they are like the most winning team of all time. Also the most consecutive wins in a row, 18. And guys, I just started learning rugby. What some tips you guys have? Says Captain Rod. So is that like watching and learning, or is it playing and you're learning? Because I guess little tips, there'd be many of them that I'm sure the chat as well as myself could help you out with. But you want to do what Canada are doing. I would say, oh, and eyebrows, says Len Sell, and love our Canadian side, says Bob. And also, Ferns 5 penalties, Canada 0 penalties, says Joe Bo. Is it 5-0 though? Because I thought Canada did get penalised in one of them. Or in fact, no, it might have been the case that they could have been penalised, but there was a knock on. beforehand. Maybe Canada is winning. Says Desney there, but these two sides, they are back out on the field and ready to go. And bogwashed by 3 South Africans. Says Mark. Bogwashed by 3 South Africans. Is that like what happened to you this week or what? We have got there even after watching for years. I often don't know what is going on. Wait for the ref to explain, says Big Rig. Doubt either team will beat England, says Ruts. Nice haircut, says Mark. And there's on. We have got the okay, thanks for the tip, says Captain Rob. But now the referee just warming up, getting ready to go. We have got the how about shaving your privates? You wouldn't know if it's happened or not, though. And I definitely wouldn't be showing it. We have got there, what's the feeling for the next half? I think the biggest feeling is New Zealand have to go out there fast. They have to score, I would say, probably within 10 minutes, if not even quicker. I just noticed the haircut looks, but that's actually a good look, Hamish. Looks better. Says Bad Dog there. Yeah, I think that it's a sneaky one. Not many people, well, some people did notice, but some just assumed that I was just wearing my normal headphones, which is, I guess, a slight bonus. That it didn't stand out too badly, but Canada, they are going to be kicking off from left to right. We are back underway for the women's semi-final. They have got a 17-point lead here, Canada, and they will want to hang on to it. Now, Olsen Baker running it up to the 22, and ball stripped by Canada off the get-go. Brilliant work from Menon. Now off to the right-hand side already, the Canadians looking to strike. Nice step from Simons, sitting only 10 metres out from the try line. Off to the left again, big collision in the middle of the park. Taguti gets up, and if Canada score now, it may be lights out for the Black Ferns. Couldn't quite get the offload, didn't need it as she continues running for Porteza. Little knock on in the breakdown, though, from the Canadians, and New Zealand survive the early onslaught again. Just that real aggressiveness does look good. With the cut suits you, says Glenn Sell there. You look young now, Hamish, says Mohadeen. And New Zealand referee for the final, says Clifford. And we have the okay, says Glenn Sell. And I would trust you, says Flesh in there. Whereabouts in Aotearoa are you from? I'm halfway between Christchurch and Dunedin. About that kind of, that midpoint way. But now 39 minutes remaining here. New Zealand only the 5 metres out from their line. So I believe all they can do here is just look to exit rather than going anything too risky. If they try something crazy, they could end up once again conceding that ball. I thought the Ferns is the best team by far. They have got a lot of accolades, but to say that at the moment, Canada really proving their number 2 rank ahead of New Zealand, who are third. Kick downfield from Demant. Does manage to find the sideline. Damn Canada, I like the Springboks. Timaru says, Jonathan, little bit south, but you're pretty much in the right area there. And no penalties given to the Black Ferns. Says Clifford there, and damn Canada, I like the Springboks. And also that sounds right there. Well, that sound right there was the sound of 500,000 Kiwis simultaneously themselves, says Big Rig. Now line out throw here for Emily Tutossi. Nicely taken. Rolling maul here. Starting up for the Canadians again. Oh, that was a half little knock on in the breakdown from Menon. I don't think the referee caught that one. And off to the left-hand side now on the short. They've got about a 4-on-2. And now offloading beautifully on the outside. Asia Hogan Rochester. She's within 5 metres and just short of the try line now. Back on the inside. Emily Tutossi. Now 1 metre out. The Kiwis, they will have to defend with everything here because if they concede now, I don't know if there's any coming back. It's going across to the right-hand side. Space opening up. What a gap that just caused Alex Tessier to go through and Canada score it again. Tie clash with the shirt, but still smart, says Toa Toa. I like to do that so that it took a little bit away from the head. But it is multiple times that someone has said that it clashes. But at this point, we don't really care because I've only got another big polka dot one, which seemed a bit excess for this one. We have got there, New Zealand has a mountain to climb now. They have got the tallest mountain to be able to climb as Canada are just finding gaps, making impact. And the kick from Taguti has gone over to 29, turns into 31 to 7 in favour of New Zealand. And Brunt doesn't get a finger on her opponent or her opposite. We have got him. That could be too much to pull back, I think. And also, I want to cry now, says non-mum there. And Disney. Oh, no, we got the donation there. But first, we have got there Disney. I just like right now. Sometimes I forget to hit the like myself, says Bongie. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that like button and also subscribe channel to see what's happening to New Zealand rugby as a whole. Well, I wouldn't say there's yes, the All Blacks lost by a big margin. They had a terrible second half. And the Black Ferns, they need to have one of their best second halves that they have ever had if they want to find a way back here. Black Ferns really exposed. TSS Samset, yeah, it's that midfield combo. Just doesn't seem to quite be doing the business at the moment for New Zealand. We have got there, this looks more and more like a spanking, says Kropotine. Now going short side here for Canada again, and attack and run forward from Menon. Did not check for that little knock-on that they may have had, and it looks like Stacey Waka staying down with a bit of an injury. Big knock-on this time from Canada. Will be New Zealand scrum. Black Ferns having a bad hair day. Says Kindness, it's a lot harder for me to have one of those now ever since that forfeit, unless you just call it bad in general. We have there New Zealand, what happens, says Bongi. I don't understand how do the Black Ferns get to the semi-final if they can't beat Canada. Says, what's up, guys? I think that some people underestimate the Canadians. This is definitely not the men's side. This is a team that, at this point in time, is number 2 in the world. We have there, this is your fault, Hamish. That haircut has angered the rugby gods. Yeah, they must not be very happy with it. But it could really help now, though. Says, wait, what? An awesome bongy. And there too, but New Zealand now feeding the ball in Risi Polri lane. They've already decided to make a couple switches, like I mentioned. Amy Rule now making her way onto the field. Now Demant popping it in behind. Goes to Portia Woodman-Wycliffe trying to use her leg strength to get around Tessier. This Canadian tackling has been so strong throughout this matchup. Olsen Baker, big collision. Near the middle of the field, Makeli too. Big shot on Demant again. She gets wrestled up to almost a rolling maul. I definitely underestimated Canada, says Daryl. I think a lot of people did. This Canadian side have come into the semi-final with a hunger. Ever since watching their first game of the World Cup, they came in with intent. They look like a side that didn't want any less than second, if not first. And they're proving it in this game too. Now, off to the right-hand side, Poldy Lane, Demant. Now they're just trying to use a few more tackles and phases in a row here, New Zealand. Maybe trying to change tactics. Wear down the Canadians. Keep liking, guys, says Desney there. And back across to the left-hand side. Georgia Ponsonby on the halfway line here again for New Zealand. Risi Poldy Lane. Across to Demant. Now starting to have a few more options in behind. Portia Woodman-Wycliffe just couldn't get the offload away in a 2-woman tackle from, I believe it was actually both of the wingers there. Now off to the right, Amy Rule, her first carry of the day. Oh, big clean out there. Looked like it might have been a bit of head contact. Good attack and run for from Olsen Baker. They're still 45 metres out here, New Zealand. Now another Fen, Georgia Ponsonby, low ball to Ruiz, who does not consider the offload option. Makeli too ends up playing half, skip, pass out wide. Here comes Braxton. Sorensen McGee, tackle towards the touchline from Rochester, but a ball on the inside. Bremner still keeping the ball alive. 22 metres out. And that ball coming off the foot of Braxton Sorensen McGee as she tries to join the breakdown, kicking it into touch and giving that ball straight back to the Canadians. And morning from Sydney says, Bite, welcome and hope you're doing extremely well. That's Wellington Deja Vu. We can't blame Rico. Says Jake Dower there. We have got there. It's really amazing to watch, honestly. Very exciting style to play. Yeah, they've been doing absolutely incredibly throughout. And the thing is, it's not just this game. This is not a one-off for Canada the way that they are playing here. They have done this the whole tournament and continue to do so throughout this game too. Own lineouts one. New Zealand have just had the one throughout this one. We got the donation from Robert V, the gifted membership there, still with that Tyrell Lomax picture. I do see as well. The Canada 22 metres out from their own line. Chance here to throw this ball in, nicely taken. And there is the advantage against the Black Ferns again. What happened to New Zealand as a whole? 1-1 with South Africa and Argentina. Wasn't 2-0. Says Bad Dog. And we have got the, also way to go Canada. Says Takaharangi. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Now around the halfway line taken by Demant, but they will go back for the original advantage. Means that Canada have got themselves another penalty. And come on, the Black Ferns, avoid the humiliation like our All Blacks ladies. Says Sana there. And not bad for a side who was literally sponsored by t-shirt sales from the tragically hip says Derek. And Mongie shouldn't be eating braai or something, says Jake. I think everyone would be eating a braai if they were allowed to, 24/7. The score could be 50, sad to say, says Sam. Yeah, just the one try at the moment for New Zealand here. As Canada kick it into touch again. New Zealand's ill-discipline from that last game up against South Africa has crept in for this match as well. And Wednesday is braai day, says Mohadenia. I saw that Canada was hungry, says Daniel. Yeah, right from the start of the comp. There were certain teams that seemed like they were preparing for later in the competition, if that makes sense. You know, just breezing past easier opposition. Whereas Canada, from the very first whistle of this whole competition, have said, we're going to go and play 150% and we're not going to slow down throughout the whole comp, no matter who is in front of them. With the exception of that second half up against Australia, where they realised they had won easily. But with the exception of that, every game has been intent. There's a knock-on here from Canada around the halfway line. New Zealand will have themselves another scrum feed. I mentioned if New Zealand wanted to get back into this game, they had to score a try within the first 10 minutes of this half. They've got 40 seconds, and they also already conceded. What tournaments do the Black Ferns play in? They have got the Pacific Series up against Canada, USA, and Australia. And then a couple other kind of one-off matches or two-off matches. Every once in a while, it looks like Letta Inga is now going to make her way onto the field. That is for Renee Holmes. Hasn't quite had her best performance out there today. She did get the kick over. We over there. That is not fair. Hamish, come on. Says, what's up, guys, podcast. Oh, sorry, this is not fair. I was going to say, I was confused at what was not fair in this scenario. What was the odds for this game? So the odds started off New Zealand, $1, I think it was $1.70. To Canada's about $2.20. But as it got closer to kickoff, Canada started getting a little bit closer. And I honestly had it as a 50-50 in terms of, like, these two sides have been very strong up against each other lately. But, you know, Canada have looked like the better up till this stage of the competition, which was a little bit of a surprise that the Black Ferns were favourites. But now ball going in behind, a bit of an awkward one. Picked up now by New Zealand, 22 metres out from the line for Rus. They have got themselves, I want to say that was an advantage from the referee, maybe for a knock-on. Hamish Rowan blaming the haircut for this Black Ferns performance. That's unfortunate because it's going to be around for a little while just because it is quite short now. Braxton Sorensen McGee getting driven towards the sideline from Asia. Hogan Rochester, they will go back for the original knock-on. Oh, that's an interesting one. So it was originally going to be a knock-on for New Zealand, but there has been a call from someone saying it's a penalty against New Zealand in the breakdown. Okay, when they cleaned it out in the breakdown, they kicked it out of the breakdown, which is something they are unable to do, says the referee. The TMO is the one who has spotted that one. So Canada now getting the penalty. Are the Ferns making too many handling mistakes, or Canada's Syrups just playing very good? Canada have been very strong throughout this match, but New Zealand have had a lot of errors throughout this time. So shame, Jaden, what's happening? New Zealand does bit bad and everyone thinks, oh yay, the ship sank. You can analyse it properly, says Bad Dogs, and keep up the speed in the second half. Now that one's gone into touch. And Canada have themselves another lineup. We're going to see it now. Yeah, just ends up hitting the foot of Brunt as she was going for the counter ruck, which you are not allowed to do. You instead have to try and avoid that and pick it up on your own side. The refs and officials in this game don't want New Zealand to win. So here's Dub H. Now line out throw here for the Canadians. For Tutosi. Around the halfway, Canada taking it nicely again at line out time. All bit of hesitation. The lady who did just make her way onto the field in the number 19 jersey. Looks like a mouthguard may have fallen out for someone. Makaeli Tu'u coming in and putting the big hit in on Taylor Perry. A huge clean out on Tukuafu in the breakdown. Thought about going into the pocket. Bit of hesitation for Canada. Not sure who they wanted to pass to, but now it's a very nice kick in behind. Braxton Sorensen McGee inside of the 22 will kick it high. There's no option to try and put it into touch, but doesn't find the sideline. Now Alex Tessier kicking in behind herself towards the 22, almost a collision. Nicely taken by Risi Poldy Lane. And now charged down. Kick not great from Demant as the pressure is now on Risi Poldy Lane to try and find a bit of a gap, and she's almost done it, but it's another penalty. And this time it is against New Zealand for obstruction. And that is against Olsen Baker. Another penalty for the Canadians. That one was a call, I believe, from the sideline this time. Please handle with class, says Greg Jones there. We have got the OMG. What are these penalties, says Rodney. And England are number one, says Marcel. And it could be 1 versus 2 heading into that final if this match continues in the way that it is. We're currently 53 minutes through the semi-final. You're a bloody lead for the live commentary at work right now. This is a much welcome respite, says Oren there. So it is greatly appreciated you being here. We are going to be covering the game between France and England as well. The match taking place tomorrow for the other semi-final to see exactly who is going through to face, at this point, the Canadians. But of course, New Zealand will find out their opposition as well. If they were to lose this game, they would face the loser of the England versus France match. Now rolling more here for the Canadians. Moving forward very nicely. It's gone down, but the ball does not come out in New Zealand. Get themselves the scrum. They're trying to fire themselves up. Russ giving high fives to her teammates. Bremner having a chat there too. They're just trying to find that next level that they haven't been able to find up against this relentless Canadian side. We have Gadeo. What did the NZRU do to the IRB? The penalty account is rigged. Says Sam Greer. Nice to do the Aussies. Or time to do it, Aussies at Ellis Park, says Jake Toa. Others are so old school, the team getting forward gets penalties. Takes me back to the good old days, says Studs Race. And Canadian women are so damn rad, turning heads nationwide. I think that they've brought a lot of eyes onto the game for Canada. And of course, the men's side taking part in the Pacific Nations Cup. They have a bronze final up against the Tongans. We'll be covering that game on the channel too. But I think if the Canadian women make it through to the final, there is one game that people will be looking forward to in Canada. And it is going to be that one. Little chip in behind from Demant, taking a little bit of a risk, but it sits up a Stacey Walker, who manages to get the fender ball on the outside to Braxton, Sorensen McGee, and now New Zealand inside of the Canadian half, but another very strong tackle made from the cover defence. Now Tukuafu going on the inside. Olsen Baker, who's already made about 100 metres so far throughout this contest. She will continue to make them throughout the later stages as well. 25 minutes remaining now. Kicking behind from Demand. Is that what New Zealand can afford at this stage of the match? Awkward bouncing one, and she kicks it out there, and that is some nervous defence from Julia Shell. That ball did not want to sit up for her, and now New Zealand have got themselves the 5-metre line out. Probably the best case scenario off that kick. We have there, Canada. Isn't this good? Result in the whole game. I wouldn't say that Canada aren't this good. I think that the early stages of the match, before New Zealand started giving away penalties, we already saw Canada cutting the defence open. And the times where Canada did score early, it wasn't down to the penalties. It was actually down to the handling errors of the Kiwis. Now, of course, they have been penalised a lot throughout this game. There's no denying that. But I don't think that can either take away from Canada and what they have done throughout this game. They have looked like the far more dominant side when it comes to just the collision throughout this match, which was surprising to see that New Zealand actually made more dominant tackles throughout that first half. But a collision in the air at line-out time, ball popping onto the side of New Zealand. We've got Everything Gaming, love it. The commentary was arrogant against South Africa, not really giving applause to the ladies, punching above their weight and trying to do something special. Says everything, and that is now the chance for New Zealand to go through, and nicely taken by Makaele Tu'u, who does score the try for the Kiwis. It will be an easy conversion. There's still 24 minutes, but there's still a mountain to climb. But yeah, it seemed like, in terms of, I assume you're talking about the actual commentary, the comment at halftime, how they said, New Zealand weren't really trying and they were trying to make it close, was a bit of a weird one from the commentary team. Over there, 2 quick tries. Give him a shot. It looks like now Braxton Sorensen McGee, she will take over the kicking. Now, she actually got her 1 kick last match over that she did get to take. Come on, Black Ferns. We have time, ladies. Says Sana there. Canada's very good, enlisting from Northern New Brunswick. Go, Canada. You ladies are making Canada proud, and that kick has gone over from Braxton Sorensen McGee. Scoreline now 14 points to 31 with 25 left on the clock. And still a lot of support for New Zealand in the Black Ferns stands. Or at least in the Black Ferns supporters, I should say. I don't think they own the stands. I think that they're Ashton Gates. But yeah, some celebration from the New Zealand supporters there. It's actually crazy that Canada is this good. They still had to do fundraisers to pay for their trip to the World Cup, says Hux. Yeah, if anyone's smart, they'll stick a sponsorship on them as quickly as they can because they could be looking at the world champs right there. And that would be great for your business if you got the logo on that side. We over there, still game not over. Says Tristan there. One moment, I am very quickly about to sneeze, so I will very briefly mute. We are good. We're over there, damn, who typed that? It says Nars Williams. Oh, big collision there, but nicely taken by Sylvia Brunt. Now 40 metres out from the line for the Black Ferns. A chip over the top keeps working. Yeah, there's a lot of space now in behind the Canadian defence. And it seems to be a massive gap between the line and then the last two. And New Zealand punches well above their weight for a small nation in the middle of nowhere. Says Johnny Blaze watching from the beach in the Dominican Republic. Says David, so it is greatly appreciated you being here, but that's a huge collision there. Good for the sport as more nations compete for the top spot. Average, can you see Ferns scoring 2 more tries in the next 5 minutes? I would say I can see New Zealand scoring before 65 minutes here. But I also do think I can see Canada scoring before that window too. So it's a bit of a tricky one. But now, ready to throw it in here. Canada, New Zealand. I think they all but got the steal there. But Dagudi had a great grip on the ball and did not let it go. Over there, cheers from Nova and Scotty in Canada. Now passed on the outside. Chance here for Hogan Rochester. She's driven out by Poultry Lane. And now starting to get a little bit narrow in those wide channels. It seems like New Zealand defending a lot better throughout the second half. See there, a good drive through the chest from Poultry Lane. And New Zealand is back, says Robert T. And our Black Ferns ladies must maybe fit and fast, but we lack iron, says Sana. We have there watching from the Crummy Greytown in England, says Big Rig. Now ready to throw this one in, Georgia Ponsonby. 21 minutes on the clock, claimed again by New Zealand. They've had a good line out today, they just haven't had a lot of it. Now Olsen Baker almost through again. Canada starting to leave a lot more gaps defensively now. Ball on the inside to Leti Inga. Almost a steal for the 50-cap veteran there in the 7 jersey of Canada. The milestone game here, and she would love nothing more than make it 51 in the final. Ball still there for the Kiwis. Bremner picking it up and going again, that time being Alana. Chelsea has also, I believe, made her way onto the field. The kick attempted from the Mart sits up with Braxton Sorensen McGee. Bit of a lucky bounce for the New Zealanders. Poultry Lane short side to Olsen Baker once more. New Zealand 20 metres out from the line. Demant goes across to Ruiz. A lot more possession now going the way of the Black Ferns. Poultry Lane passes across to Amy Rule. Tackled by McKinley Hunt. Now across to the right-hand side again. Some massive hits can be heard throughout this one. Poultry Lane going now into the hands of, I believe it's one of New Zealand's first replacements, in Leila Sae. She was great in the first match for the Kiwis of this World Cup competition. Made over the 100 metres to Godey. Her hand is down. She's still trying to steal that ball in the breakdown, and she's going to be penalised for it. Pick and go from Makaeli Tu'u. Now Bremner, pick and go for New Zealand, straight in the side, the Canadian defence. Oh, bit of a rough pass, goes behind, and they'll go back for the initial penalty. What will be the call here? As it was relatively cynical from Sophie Dagudi here in terms of the way that she got her hands on the ball, slowed down New Zealand's attack. Sounds like just the penalty. Watching the game on the beep, the commentary is so partisan. It's unbelievable. Same when they speak hushed tones about Brazil football team. Says Korea's advisor. And also love our Vancouver Island-based national ladies, says Randy. And elbows up, ladies, finish strong. Yeah, Canada have done so well throughout the first 61 minutes. That's actually the first penalty against Canada throughout this whole game. They just showed 8-1, the penalty count here. One penalty today and getting yellow. Yellow would be wild. It would be, but just because of where it was on the field, we've seen it before, how they sometimes get a bit excited, but I didn't see that one being that bad from Sophie Dagudi. Looks like Canada now making a few more changes. New Zealand starting to have a bit more of possession. Canada maybe just trying to get those reinforcements out there and finish this game as strong as they started it. Love me some Olivia Hatt, says Hux. Yep, she has made her way on the field now. Hunter's off. That is for Kazel. And then also we see there Roya on in that number 7 role. Well, credit to Canada, but people asking about New Zealand as a whole. I should really ask why it took a big nation like Canada so long. Says Bad Dog. Well, they've been playing for less time than New Zealand, of course, in terms of rugby in general. But I think the trickiest part for those big places like Canada and the US has just been so many other sports that get the athletes beforehand. You know, rugby kind of gets about or at least it was getting about the 3rd or 4th picks. But now I feel like a lot more of the top ones are considering it as the option. Now, Poldy Lane pick and go. 1 meter, 1 meter short. And on the ground, the ball's ripped away by Canada and booted into touch. They survive the New Zealand onslaught once more. Watching from Namibia. Says Desney there. We have there, honestly, why the hell does the players look like have to do with skill level? Says it was there from Nancy. So I assume that was to someone in the chat. And we have got there Bosch Canada Rugby. We have got there, it's getting bigger for sure, says freaking classy. And also we have got there Canada is really big. Can make it hard to find the right people, says Torpedo. That is true. There's a lot of area in Canada. And now we see a couple more changes being made. Alana Bremner comes off. Chelsea Bremner, her sister, comes on. And Maya Joseph on in that number 21 jersey. Reese Poldy Lane. And the ball stolen in the line out by Canada. Now with 18 minutes remaining, Olivia Apps going off to the left-hand side. Low chopping tackle onto Tossi. And we have got there, I got fired today. I work as a calendar factory. And took too many days off. Says Sonny, listen there, but going off to the right-hand side now. It's going to be Braxton Sorensen McGee. Just the 18 minutes left. We have got there, you don't want to be playing catch-up like that. Now another break of the line. Layla Sai. Joseph goes across, big collision with Chris Valiko. I wouldn't think she'd be a mile away from making the sub there. 40 metres out, trying to get the steal. She's told to get out of there. Now Maya Joseph, short ball again to Olsen Baker. Throughout the last 15 minutes or so, New Zealand have probably had about 85% of the possession. Another step from Stacey Waka. Gets through 2. Tackled by Olivia Apps. That is just like a repeat of what we've seen on the 7 circuit many times before. Layla Sae. In fact, this time it is Makaeli Tu'u. Tackled low by Canada. Now Ponsonby. Up to 22 metres out from the line for New Zealand. Joseph goes off to Braxton Sorensen McGee. She's already scored 8 tries throughout this Women's World Cup, but has not got one in this semi-final as of yet. Joseph again goes off to the left-hand side. Chance to pop it in behind. That's a collision and a half between the number 8s. Although Canada almost on the ball, not giving away the penalty advantage in the breakdown again. Brunt pops it up to Letty Inga. Space opening up. She needed the pass on the outside. Never were the eyes looking. Now Valeko pick and go. 7 metres out from the line now for New Zealand. Joseph, another penalty advantage against the Canadians. Now short ball again. Attack and run from Makaeli Tu'u. Maya, new advantage against Canada. Ponsonby's 1 metre short. 17 phases in a row full of Black Ferns. Cross kick attempted. Braxton Sorensen McGee finishes in the corner. And New Zealand get another try and a double blow of the whistle there from the referee. Is that perhaps a final warning? She's off. Oh no, she's off because of the HIA. That is for Forteza. She took a nasty head knock. It looked like it was head on head between her and Olsen Baker. She will now have to make her way from the field for the HIA. We have got there, yeah, Tui. Would have been mean, says Bad Dogs there. And we'll ref penalise Burns for Epps hair pulling. Says wait, what? And also we have got there, well done the Ferns, says Darryl. And also Canada can get more games in Rugby World Cup 2027. And we have recently seen the men's side qualify for that men's World Cup in Australia. Sorensen McGee, this one's from 46 metres out. It's going to be a hard strike from here, but it's a quite crucial one with where this game sits. Massive kick, and she just tried to put a bit too much on it. Hooks it away to the left. And that is now going to make the score with 15 minutes to go. 31 points to 19. New Zealand have had all of the second half possession, it seems. And Canada need a big moment here to be able to put the cake to bed, but put the icing on the cake and put the game to bed, were the two sayings that I was getting confused with there. Come on, Canada, says Wasso. Now New Zealand making the change. Lolo here, making her way on. That is for Georgia Ponsonby for the final 15 minutes. Plenty of time to win from here, says Sonny. Listen, and that's at Black Ferns. An offside line doesn't exist for Canada, says Jobo. I think they got offside advantage against them twice there throughout that attacking phase of the Kiwis. Put the moose out of the house, says Big Rig. Liz Canada, says Eldrick. And there as well, I mentioned about how New Zealand were $8 underdogs. They still are in this scenario. They are now within the 12 points of getting back into the game. Now Canada, they will be looking to close this one out, but New Zealand currently have got the possession. And come on, Holmes. Convergence wins game, sister. That was Braxton Sorensen McGee who missed that one. Holmes got taken off about 15 minutes ago. Now Canada, they have got themselves the ball. Olivia Apps looking off to this right-hand side. Even just a penalty 3 here for Canada would make the difference. Little chip in behind, and the mark is called from New Zealand. Alison Baker has been a mensch. She's been incredible. Definitely once again with the fact that she wasn't even going to be playing in this game. It looked like after the match number 1 of the competition. Now kick downfield. New Zealand, Braxton Sorensen McGee. Very good hands there, only 5 metres out from her own line. She hooks it into touch and does get the line out. That's what crazy one penalty against Canada on the 60th minute. Wow. And we have got there, Johnny, that is crazy. What a performance, really. They just shown there in terms of the changes that we have seen made for New Zealand. 1, 2, oh, that showed very quickly, but I believe they've made about maybe 6 or 7 of their 8 at the moment. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to be using the phrase put the cake to bed from now on. Just be a bit messy, wouldn't it, though? If you're going to be putting a cake in a bed. We have got there, Canada got Grizzly squad. Is there enough time left for the Ferns? I would say with 12 points, yes. But if Canada score again, then no. That's a big overthrown line out there. Dagudi has a hard time being able to clean it up. And come on, New Zealand, says Ilaria. Now back across to the left-hand side. Canadian people are getting nervous. Here's Clifford, and the ball is stolen for New Zealand until Lula here knocks it on. And then it is going to be the scrum feed now for the Canadians. That was the chance. A counter-attack from there could have made that very interesting. We saw it ripped away, and then Lolo here for one of her first touches of the day. Just can't quite rein it in. It's a good game, says Roof. It's turned into a much better game than a lot of people thought it was going to be. In terms of that halftime score, people thought this game was over. And at this point, even after Canada scored that early try enough, it seemed like maybe the game was going to be over too. But, you know, it's just an interesting scenario. They're just showing their position. 94% for New Zealand throughout the last 10 minutes. The Canadians, they have survived a majority of the onslaught though. Just need those one try, or maybe at the same time that 3 points if they can take it. This is Torture Man, says Jake. And how many minutes left? Currently 12 are remaining on the clock. Olivia Apps going off to the left-hand side. Now the ball in the hands of Perry. Offload on the outside from Shell. Goes to Asia. Hogan Rochester. She almost went straight through, but she's dropped the ball backwards. In fact, no, it's called as forward. And now another scrum for New Zealand. This is the first time we've seen Canada look a little bit rattled throughout this whole contest. For the last 10 or so minutes, just not quite getting their hands on the ball. Take Black Ferns 6 off, so that would be Makaeli 2. Who are you bringing on for it? Because Leila Sa'i is already out there, so you'll probably be replacing her with a lock. Yeah, in fact, they don't have anyone to take her off for unless they go with Kate Henwood. If you want a prop playing in the loose forward trio, you could make that switch. We have got there, that went backwards, but oh well, says Sam Greer. And they were lucky there since the What's Up Guys podcast, and no forward there. Yeah, it did look back, to be fair. But now, scrum feed for New Zealand. Canada number 11 has sparkly glitter on her face. She certainly does. We have got there, come on New Zealand, says Furburger. Chat, I'm sick. How many minutes left? I just left my house for strep. So it is still the 10 minutes, but I don't know whether or not you can hear me. So Hopefully someone in the chat will say 10 as well. We'll get there. Yes, come on, the Black Ferns. Says Rudolph, ball is there. Now Joseph goes across to the left-hand side. New Zealand having to run it out from their own 22. Ball out to Braxton Sorensen. McGee puts in a fend on Simons. Oh, over the ball though, but Canada, that was so close to Puri getting the steal. Joseph going back across to Demant. And what are we going back for here? Number 20, Black Croc Roll. Layla Sa'i is picked up by the TMO. In fact, that's number 12 there. Brunt's been penalised. Now Canada get themselves the penalty. This is a kickable 3 if she's got a big boot. I think Dagodi would back herself to get it from here. But Canada point to the corner. They have been aggressive throughout this whole World Cup. That mindset is not changing now. And they know that if they get a try right now, they can put this game to bed. Now kicked into touch. About 10 metres out from the line. Why aren't Canada taking 3 points? Maybe just for that 50-50. It is probably about a 40-metre out kick. So it would have been relatively tough. Definitely with Dagodi sitting with 2 missed already. So I would say it's just down to the fact that they want to fully confirm this one. Now, line out throw here for the Canadians. TMO pulling up, New Zealand only. Maybe Canada are just clean. Says Sam. Now, line out throw here for Emily Tutosi. She would love nothing more than to get their match-winning try, and it could be on the cards. They've gone to the back there, Canada, and they set their rolling ball. Last time they were down here, New Zealand stopped it in its tracks. But this time, Canada getting it marching. 10 metres out. Now offloaded back. Little bit of distribution in that rolling ball into the hands of Kazel, but it's down. The ball is just rolled out the back for Canada. 1 metre short of the line. Penalty advantage against New Zealand as well. Is this going to book Canada their spot to the Rugby World Cup final for 2025? Another pick and go. Olivia Apps passes it short. Knee slide attempted there. But again, just out from the try line. Olivia Apps trying to get the forwards in the right place. She's over the line, but she's held up. And New Zealand now, they will defend it, but they have to go back for another penalty advantage, which will turn into the penalty. I think New Zealand now might be on that last warning here. And held up, should have taken the 3 points. Says all in the game, although they do still have their penalty advantage, which does mean that they are going to continue to use up more time off of the clock. Bro, you need a time clock on your screen. Currently 72 and a half minutes through. It's got 74 there. We have there who's ball. At the moment it is Canada's. They are right out in front of the post. This is the easiest 3 that they could take. And I think that they'll be having that discussion now. They've called for the post, and this would give Canada the 15-point lead. So by not taking it earlier, they actually have given themselves a much easier kick at the post, used up an extra 3 minutes of game time. So it really is a win-win for the Canadians. Time anyone please. At the moment it is 73 minutes through, but this kick here for Sophie Dagodi, if it goes over, that should extend the lead outside of 2 converted tries with just the 7 minutes remaining. Can't beat this ref. Says Dallin there. And he's Ellen choking, says Solo there and getting penalised for clearing a ruck. Crazy. Says Dub H there. I'm going back to be well done, Canada. I go win that final. Sophie Dagodi, she is going to use all of the seconds on the clock that she can. And that is just to make sure that there is no extra chance for New Zealand late in this game. Dagodi goes down the middle. And that is going to make the score now in this contest 34 points to 19. Great semi, great effort and skills. Game over now, I think, says Ron. Yeah, that one should almost do it. 15 points difference. Canada scoring the 5 tries so far throughout this game. New Zealand scoring the 3. It looks like another change being made. Teresa Setefano will make her way onto the field. She will get the 6 minutes in what will not be the final game of this Women's World Cup. It is instead going to be their second last. They have still got that 3rd place match. We have got the update the countdown better, please, says John. Well, it is an online scoreboard, so it updates itself, but I will keep on telling you there's 6 minutes remaining. And currently a 15 points difference between these two sides. Nicely tackled there. Going off to the left-hand side. Chance here just to close out the game. Leila Sa'i making the low tackle. Olivia Apps. Can Canada break again? Here comes an impressive run from the tight end Brock Menon. Olivia Apps looking for, I think that was a box kick attempt, but it's been charged out and actually turned into just a pop to the lady next to her. It almost looked like a regulation forward pass, or like a tour forward, I should say, rather than it going forward. Now nicely taken at the back. Braxton Sorensen again, I think for New Zealand, the reality may just now be hitting. Canada starting to get a lot more possession, kicking downfield, just looking for a bit of territory there. Canada, awkward bouncing ball, forcing the Black Ferns 5 metres out from their own line. Now Portia Woodman-Wycliffe gets round one off to the right-hand side for Leti Inga, who moves up to 22 metres out. And commiserations to our Black Ferns, sadly, but the bronze medal is open to us, ladies, says Sana. And also this game feels too easy for the Canadians. Firms were not prepared, says Big Rig. Now, I mentioned it, heading into this game, I felt like neither of these sides had been fully tested. But in this game, you could argue at times it hasn't felt like Canada has fully been tested as well. They do look like a real contender. And tomorrow we'll get to find out if they're facing the English or the French. Oh, looks like an injury though for one of the Canadian players. She does not look in a good way at the moment on the ground. So that could be a bit of a late concern for them. Now Leila Sa'i puts in the hit and keeps on running. 20 metres out from the line now for New Zealand under penalty advantage. It is too little too late, or at least you would think that ball smacked Portia Woodman right between the eyes. So they'll go back for the initial penalty off the ball. I've got there whose ball says Mohadine at the moment. The ball is in the hands of New Zealand. It looks like there is the injury here for one of the New Zealand players too. I think that is actually Kate Henwood. She's only recently made her way out onto the field. Currently 76 minutes gone in this match. The clock is off. It looks like maybe a calf muscle here for one of the Canadian forwards. I'm just trying to catch the number. It is actually their number 6, Crosley, I think, is in that 6 jersey today. Oh, geez, who got injured, says Torpedo. So it is Crossley and the number 6, Caroline Crossley, that is. One more try, please, Canada, says Desney. Yeah, there's a few nervous moments, but they are just showing there. Justine Pelletier has got the woman of the match, or the player of the match, as it is called. And she has been phenomenal in terms of the work that she has done in that breakdown, just getting it, feeding it to the forwards. And I've always been a fan of New Zealand, but I got to cheer for my own country in this situation. Go Canada, says some guy. But yeah, she's limping here. First initial reaction was calf muscle, but if it is knee, it is not good news either. And either way, it looks like Crossley, the chances of her playing next week might be pretty slim. Canada and England in the final, says MGL. And how did that dancing training work out for the woke jokers from New Zealand? Says Renegade. Now we have got their swarms of Indians in Canada. I watched some Canadian vlogs, says Johnny Blaze. But now going back to the right-hand side, chance here for New Zealand to strike once more before the end of the game. Theoretically, I know that it's probably a bit of wishful thinking, but if New Zealand score right now, they're into touch. Never mind. I was going to say if they manage to get over the line now, you know, there was still a bit of time left. We have got there, Hamish, your M still makes me giggle. Thanks for that, says you. And we have got there, it's not looking good, says Jane Christie. And there as well, yeah, it's a bit one-sided at the moment. 15 points difference with 3 minutes remaining. And another chance here for a couple more changes for the Canadians. When's the other semi-final? The other semi-final is taking place tomorrow. I believe that is 2:30 a.m. New Zealand time, which will be 4:30 for you guys in South Africa. I believe 3:30 p.m. for you guys in England. And I'm not sure about what time it will be in Canada, if I'm honest, but we will have it scheduled on the channel. We have then Hamish, you've been timing me out for telling the truth about New Zealand. I haven't touched any timeout, so it must have been a moderator if you were timed out for something. Now that one's going to be knocked back to the left-hand side. New Zealand have got themselves the ball in hand. Now 3 minutes remaining. And now being told to get out of it, the Canadian defence. Are you going to sleep? Probably not. I'll end up staying up because we are going to be doing the Bunnings NPC game between Canterbury and Otago a bit later on. That is also for the Ranfurly Shield. And then we have got the all-nighter coming up and the future after that as well. New Zealand still with the ball in hand. Currently 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Oh, Still looking for those steals on the breakdown, Canada, and they have kept that same intensity. There was that 10-minute gap where they didn't really have a lot of the ball. New Zealand had 94% of the possession, but outside of that, that is where we've seen Canada really play what has been a very strong performance throughout the semi-final. New Zealand, they'll have to go back to that drawing board for the match in the bronze final, more than likely up against the French, but it is still yet to be determined. Still going short side. Joseph to the hands of Stacey Waka. Now 2 minutes left on the clock. Back across Maya Joseph, going to Makaele Tu'u. Should score a try a little while ago for the Kiwis. Maya Joseph again, back to the right-hand side. Is there enough time for the Ferns? There is not. 78 minutes now gone in this contest. And 15 points the difference in this match as well. They are just talking about the reign of New Zealand coming to an end. A deception for the Canadians. It's going to be a foot race. She's not going to win it to Goody, but she offloads to Corrigan. Perhaps waited a little bit too long to give it to her. There's the knock on. And now, double blow of the whistle here. But New Zealand, Goody apologises to Corrigan for a bit of a rough pass. And Bad Dog says, Gives there. How can I watch the full performance, full match? Hopefully they would show it on the World Rugby YouTube channel, but you can catch it depending on where you are in the world, will depend on your options. So you'll definitely have to check out the Women's World Cup website. That will tell you your list of broadcasters depending on where you are. Glad that Canada won here, but it would be nice to see a consolation try for the Ferns. So here's Daryl. But now, getting ready to throw this one. Sophie DeGood. Or DeGoody, sorry, I should say. She has been doing extremely well throughout this whole match. And, you know, if it wasn't for the performance from the 9 in this game, Justine Pelletier, I'd say that she was probably right up there in terms of player of the match options too. Love this sport. I love both of these teams. So proud of this amazing Canadian team. So here's MJ, and they will book themselves that spot through to the final, of course, where they will get the massive opportunity to get either up against the English or the French. We have got there. Well done, Canada, and well done both teams. Hope Canada has enough in the tank for next week. Says All Blacks. We see there, Perry will make her way off of the field. 1 minute getting given to the number 23 for Canada here. But now 90 seconds remaining on the clock. The Canadian coach making his way down to the sideline. It's a couple high fives on the way. I love my family, says Jack. Well, that's a good thing to do. We have there. Georgia Miller was a big loss, says Hartley. It just seemed to be New Zealand. They never quite got out of first gear throughout that first 40 minutes. Canada getting the early lead. It was always going to be tough to be able to get back in. For these wondering, yes, Hamish is broadcasting live from the stadium. Look behind him and you will see this isn't actually the stadium. I went with what the location was of the final as my background. We have there Canada sit ABs down, says Rugby Itch there. And now going off to the right-hand side, chance here for the New Zealanders. Although onto the ball, giving away the penalty again now. Another quick tap taken. Going off to the right-hand side, chance around the halfway line. And a big run from Olsen Baker. I believe she'd have to be up there for the most meters made out of any player out there on the field. Now step, little offload attempted by Kate Henwood. Like she had maybe concerns of an injury earlier on, but is all right now. Yeah, Canada, says Nicole there. And also, well, we look number 3. Says Shane, yeah, New Zealand coming ranked number 3 into this match up against the number 2 side. And they did get outplayed throughout the 80 minutes. Still 30 seconds of that 80 remaining, though, of course. But there's another advantage against the Canadians. They have, in the last 20 minutes, given away about 5 or 6 penalties. That will be the one big concern for Canada at the end of this game. Now back across Maya Joseph goes to Chelsea Bremner. There's still that advantage being played for New Zealand. Maya Joseph off to the left-hand side again. Now, left again. Finding the hands of Leila Sa'i. And a penalty. New Zealand in off their feet, so they will go back for the initial one. Oh, so the Ferns were ranked 3rd. Thought they were the best. Says Xander. They are ranked number 3. Canada 2nd, England 1st. So there is a chance at the moment that it looks like it should be a 1 versus 2 final in this one. There's not moving away. We see the tears already flowing for the Canadians on the bench, knowing what this final means. They did miss out in the last World Cup taking place in New Zealand. In that one, it was New Zealand versus the English, whereas they were up against the English in the semi-final last World Cup Canada. So perhaps history could repeat itself. A short ball now. Teresa Setefano still trying to get something going. I know Canada, says Carlos there. That shot of that Canada bench was awesome. Says Hucks there. And now rolling it back again. Maya Joseph goes across. No one back there for New Zealand. Picked up by Olsen Baker, who loses the ball back. Canada still trying to pounce on another opportunity. Lete Inga cleans it up for the Kiwis, who look like they will not be kicking this ball into touch. They want one last try on the board to kind of mitigate that gap. And Olivia Apps making a strong hit there. Maya Joseph, New Zealand continuing to move backwards. McCain is actually back out there on the field due to the earlier HIA that we did see, but now backline. Stacey Waka has Saxton Sorensen McGee, who has her elbow slammed on the ground, and another penalty goes the way of New Zealand. The rankings are spot on. One will play two. And thanks for the great commentary, says Maureen there. Much appreciated, says Maureen. Thank you very much. Olivia Hatz trying to get the steal on the breakdown. New Zealand still trying to get that last try. We are currently 82 minutes through the game. Portia Woodman-Wycliffe driven sideways. Canada trying to get the steal on the breakdown with Forteza, who is quite impressively still out there on the field as well after the massive head collision that she had about 10 minutes ago. Now off to the right. Lobby ball. Stacey Waka. That looked a bit high from Asia. Hogan Rochester. Now another run from Leila Sa'i. New Zealand don't want this game to end, but it's about to because Olivia Apps. Oh, hang on. What's happened now? Referee's double blow of the whistle here. Okay, aware of the time, but your players are giving away too many penalties there, says the referee, and the penalty goes the way of New Zealand again. Oh, we have to get that Hamish. Excellent work. Well done, lad. Says you there. And also thanks for the broadcast. There's Roy in there as well. Looks like New Zealand again are going to kick this one for the corner. Currently sitting at 83 minutes through. Very entertaining, Hamish. Thank you for the commentary. In fact, they're going to take the quick tap now. Lolo here. Moving up to 20 metres out. Canada are in the breakdown this time. Clean steal. And they will boot this ball into touch. Canada booked their spot through to the semi-final. And they will, to the final. And they will face the winner of England versus France, 34-19. The Black Ferns, they tried a bit of a comeback, but they never quite made it. Hugh has donated a super sticker too. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. And thanks for your commentary, mate. Great match. Love New Zealand. There's Eldrick there. And what a win for the Canadians. You can see what it means to them. There are more tears for the Canadians than there are for New Zealand. At this point in time, it's been a long road for Canada, but they have gone out there. They played a brilliant match. They started on fire, and they did their hard work in that first half. Second half, New Zealand fought back a little bit, but it wasn't quite enough as the Canadians win it by 15. And from there, booked themselves a spot in the final. Thanks for that. All the best. And also cheers to the Black Ferns and New Zealand. Well fought. Says Joey there. And well played, Canucks. Says Kurno Vic there. And thank you, Hamish. Says Robert B. And there as well. But we see there now the tears are starting to flow for the Kiwis as well. They will be playing in the bronze final up against the loser of the match between England and France. We have got the first time couldn't watch. I was so surprised. I really enjoyed your commentary of the game. Excellent knowledge of the game and players and a great non-biased approach. Thank you. Great voice too, says Pauline. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. You're popping in for the stream. And we have still got that other semi-final just around the corner. England versus France. That will be an intriguing one because England come in as huge favourites heading into that matchup. But they also have got a contender in France who maybe didn't have their best quarterfinal that will want to definitely come around the corner and have a bigger match. Metres made. New Zealand had 1,158 metres made. They had 12 dominant tackles to Canada's 2, but it didn't feel that way. Canada were always driving New Zealand back throughout that first 40 minutes in the way that they were pushing in-time possession, 60% and territory 60% for the New Zealanders as well. But the scoreline does say otherwise. Thanks for the awesome coverage, mate. I'll be back for the finals. If you cover it, says Hux. And there as well. I do know that there is an overlap with the final, but we are hoping to organise something in that regard to be able to do both of them. But we'll have to wait and see what does happen there. But Canada still celebrating that one. They will be celebrating it all week, but they know that the job is not done. They know that they still have that next game. We have got there, love you commentating, Hamish, shave the beard. Says, if I shave the beard, I would only have eyebrows left. And then someone will say to shave those as well. And then I will just literally be an egg. We have got there, well done, says Johan, and we have got there other tears of joy. They are tears of joy, or not for New Zealand anyway. The Canadian tears are of joy, of course. We see there Demant leading the way, shaking hands with the Canadians, celebrating, or not celebrating, but congratulating what they've been able to do there. Canada won't beat England. Well, they just beat New Zealand, and people said they wouldn't do that. So you just don't even know what can happen here. Oh, we have got there gaming with Vern. They said, love the buzz cut. And here, other team from Vic and Vern Sports Chat. Thank you very much, guys. Greatly appreciated for your generosity there. And also French love British and the Kiwi, says Eldrick. It does seem to be that these two sides heading into this match, for a majority anyway, there was a lot of mutual respect between them. They've had some battles throughout the last little while. We saw the Canadians and New Zealand draw earlier on in the year. And this game, it was a lot more one-sided than people were anticipating. We have got there as well. Great John Man says, Motion, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. We have got, what is the final score? Final score, 34-19 in favour of the Canadians. For some reason, it doesn't want to tick over to the full-time score, but that is the end score in this matchup. We have got there, good luck for England, says Pauline there. And come on, Caroline. I hope this is just a scratch, says Randy. And there as well, yeah, a couple injury concerns going into that. And we have got there, Canada will not be laying down in the finals. Absolutely not. Their mindset throughout this whole match and throughout this whole tournament has pretty much been go hard out, play an aggressive style of rugby, and that's the type of play that you have to do up against the English. If you sit back and allow the English to take it to you, they win more times than not. But if you're willing to get in their face, put in some big hits like Canada were out there on the park and play that aggressive style, that will bode very well for them in that final match as well. We have there a great game. Congrats, Canada. Says Harry there. And Canada going to win the World Cup, says Johan Goosen. And also, we have their new rugby fan here. This game clinched it for me. Wait, that disappeared. We have got going to be a big New Zealand fan as well as Canada from now on. Says Joe Richards. Yeah, it's been an incredible World Cup thus far. We do see the underdogs winning this game, which I believe is the first underdog winner of playoff rugby that we have seen for this year's Women's World Cup. Although Canada did get a bit of late money, it got a bit closer. We have their results saying true to the world rankings. Looking sharp there, mate. Vanaka says, well, but then we have also got the Duo Nation. 2 words, Georgia Miller. Congrats, Canada. Says Meanaz there. And we have got there, Hamish, what's the longest your beard has ever been? Do you see yourself as a biker beard? Or see yourself having a biker's beard like ZZ Top? Normally it doesn't get much longer than this because then you guys make me shave it off. So, you know, I never quite get the chance to grow it out. We have got the Epis ball by the Black Ferns. They just, unfortunately, their bad start in this game, the early handling errors, the early penalties, it was just hurting them. And valiant fight back in the second half, you know, that possession throughout 10 minutes where they were sitting at 94%, that was the period that they just needed to keep that foot down and get that next big try. But then the one knock on completely changed the momentum. Canada brought it back to 50-50 possession for the final 10, and that was the big difference maker. They just lost that momentum that they created through a couple big attacking plays. We have got congrats to Canada and pleasure. Oh, and please win the final for our Black Ferns, our Kiwi Hearts, and nature. We all know how to win and lose unconditionally, says Sana. Why no time up? 80 minutes, says Milano. It is time up. It's just the online scoreboard says that they're still going. It's up to 90 minutes, though, and there is, of course, no comeback for New Zealand here, as the game is already over. Canada defends the Black Ferns. It makes it to the final. Yeah, whatever. What about Hamish's beard? Says Big Rig. We have got their win, New Zealand, or love New Zealand, win or lose. Wonderful people, wonderful rugby, says Greg Jones. And there as well. But nonetheless, it's going to be the end of the stream. Of course, we have got their match tomorrow between England and France to see who books themselves the final up against the Canadians, and also who books themselves the spot through to the bronze as well. Looks like there are almost tears in the New Zealand commentary panel as well here. They're saying they're sick to their stomachs for having to digest this loss for the Kiwis, but they have to get their head in the game because they have another game next week, and that is for the bronze. Sounds good. Like Crossley is on the field and walking. Might have just been a calf spasm, says Torpedo, so that would be massive news for the Canadians. She was strong in that number 6 jersey. Who's player of the match? Number 9 for the Canadians. Managed to get player of the match, which was Justine Pelletier managed to get it. She had a phenomenal game. And thank you, Hamish. Awesome commentary, says Merley. And there's on. Thank you very much for tuning in. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be back for that Canterbury versus Otago match of the Bunnings NPC and Ranfurly Shield in about 8.5 hours time, as well as the Pacific Nation Cup final, the Currie Cup final, the third place game of the Pacific Nations Cup between the Canadians and the Tongans. Also alongside that, we've got Samoa versus Chile in the Rugby World Cup 2027 qualifying and the Women's World Cup semi-final, England versus the French. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.